Welcome to the One Life One Chance podcast. I'm your host, Toby Morse. Today I have a very special guest and also my unofficial, I guess official co-host, Mr. Derek Green's here.
The hype man.
How you doing, Derek?
I'm fantastic, can't you tell?
And welcome to the podcast, Mike Cessario, right?
That's
right,
how you
nailed
say
it.
it, man.
I said it right.
Cessario.
So this is the man, the myth, the legend behind Liquid Death. Everybody's been seeing us posting and drinking. It's my favorite water. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, Toby.
And we want to hear your story because this podcast, sometimes I have people from all different walks of life, but we all kind of come from punk rock and skateboarding in a sense on this journey. And we all kind of end up connecting here at this point in our lives. So what is your story? I know you're from Delaware, correct?
Right. Yeah. Grew up in Delaware till like 6th grade. And then I moved probably like 30 minutes away into like the fields of Pennsylvania for like high school and all that.
God.
The like what part of Pennsylvania?
It was called Landenberg, Pennsylvania.
Oh my God, I know it.
Get
Are you
the fuck
serious?
out of here.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
I live down the street.
Yeah.
It's like,
So you went up, like from like kind of a city area to like a rural area?
Yeah, because it was crazy where the Delaware school system was one of the worst school systems in the country. And they had this crazy program where I forget what they called it, but it was basically like kids from the inner city would get bused 30 minutes into the suburbs to go to school for certain like levels. And then kids from the suburbs get bused into the inner city to go to school. So where I went to elementary school, I mean, recess would be canceled because of like shootings and there was like needles on the ground and shit. And then in 6th grade, I found a bullet on the ground and my parents were like, okay.
you're like, this program.
This is Delaware?
Delaware, yeah.
I never even think about Delaware because it's in between Baltimore and
I
Pennsylvania,
know.
correct?
I never thought it was like.
I've been to truck stops there, going to play shows and stuff like that, but I don't know if we played proper show in Delaware. Was there like a venue there?
There was the hardcore venue there that a lot of bands played at was this weird, like, I don't know what you would call it. It was like a Girl Scout community center called Girls
Super
Inc.
DIY.
Yeah. But I saw Converge there. Today is the day. Cave In, like
your
all those bands
cookies,
played it.
you know,
And you're
it's
that.
hard.
There's literally like little kids' drawings on the wall, and there's like,
That
a
sounds
band
about
playing in
right,
the center. Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay, so you moved to the rural. So
Yeah.
what was it like growing up there?
Yeah, that was like where, like I grew up skateboarding I think I got my first skateboard when I was 6. It was a Tony Hawk board. I actually got the tattoo.
Yes.
And then like kids in Delaware just like quit skating. Like it wasn't cool to skate. Everyone got into just like being rappers or whatever,
Yeah.
Driving a car.
Yeah,
Girls,
driving,
partying.
It just wasn't cool. So I quit just because no one else skated. Then when I moved to Pennsylvania in 7th grade, like skating was actually cool there. I was like, wait, you guys skateboard? Like that's
Yeah.
a thing? They're like, yeah. So I got like back into skating and then like kind of went from this like path of like, I was wearing like giant starter sweatshirts to like kind of like going down the skate path and then started, listening to, No Effects. I got like the Punkorama album and it was
Sick.
just
Those
like,
are great.
that was like the gateway.
Yeah, we've been on those. That I have people meet me now like, oh, I heard you on Punkorama. Like those things really went far back then.
Oh yeah. They were just like the things that like just like pulled you in.
Yeah.
Like, oh, wait a second.
Was there a large Amish community where you?
Yeah.
I knew it.
Like 40
Oh, yeah,
minutes
okay,
away it was Lancaster.
Lancaster's where they were kicking it.
Yeah.
I didn't know if they were in the scene, because in
No.
Cleveland there was a band that was called Hostile Amish. And it just like
They were Amish?
They were Amish.
It's a hard name.
It was hard name, and they would come up on stage with like butter churns and like work it out on
It's
stage.
amazing.
I'm dead serious, dude. I was like, wow. But I knew from Pennsylvania, I know there's a large community.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we used to go to shows in Lancaster at this venue called the Chameleon Club.
Yeah,
Okay.
great show.
Wow.
Great venue.
Yeah, the last show I saw there, one of my favorite bands is Snapcase.
Nice.
It was Snapcase and Kid Dynamite.
Love me
I
some
remember that
Snapcase.
show.
Love Snapcase too, man.
Yeah.
The Progression Through Unlearning is probably my favorite hardcore album of
I'm gonna
all
have to go
time.
back
Wow.
and listen to that again.
It's so good.
And then there's like Steps too. That's an album.
Yeah, I literally never listened to their other stuff. It was just that
Wow.
one
Okay.
album. I was just like,
The production wasn't the best on that note, that band won't even say it, but live they're fucking incredible.
Yeah.
Great dudes.
Yeah.
Shout out to Snapcase, great humans.
Yeah.
What was your exposure to skateboarding back then?
So once I started skating again in like 7th grade, yeah, like it was just full on. And since we lived in the woods, like everybody had mini ramps.
Sick.
Yeah. And like there was this guy who lived in our town named Ben Jones, and he had a barn with this sick mini ramp in it. And I remember going there for the first time in like 8th grade, and it's like all these older kids smoking cigarettes, listening to Screeching Weasel. It was like, this is the coolest fucking place I've ever been, you know? And now those guys opened a skate shop in Delaware called Kinetic, which is really big now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those same guys who had the ramp.
Had the ramp. Yeah. They kind of grew up.
Stuck with it.
Yeah.
Was it just people skating in your school and stuff? How you getting into it?
Pretty much. Yeah. Just
Yeah.
like I just made friends with kind of the dudes that skated that ended up becoming my closest friends. And we started a band in 8th grade.
Wow.
And then that, you know, we played in various bands, like, you know, whether it was all of us or all of us plus someone. Like,
Yeah.
Until
What was your instrument of choice?
I play guitar.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
And
so, the skateboarding and the punk rock came hand in hand, right?
Yeah.
The soundtrack for each other.
Yeah. It was kind of the same time. It was like I got really into skateboarding again once I kind of like met this new crew of people that skated. And then that like 7th grade for me was the same year that like Dookie came out. And it was like that punk explosion of like
Totally.
people's parents bought that album.
Yeah.
But then it was like Green Day was just like, oh, this is great. And then it was like Punkorama, and it was like No Effects, Bad Religion. Like, this is way cooler, you know? And then it just was like rabbit hole after that.
Yeah, that was amazing back then. Just seeing the different on the compilations or a fanzine or a record or
Yeah.
who they get shout outs to, what shirts they're wearing on the back, you know?
Oh yeah.
So how were you in school? Like, do you like school?
Yeah, I was always, you know, for me, school was, I don't want to say it was easy, but it was like I was always able to just do well enough to like not have my parents be pissed. It's like as long as I wasn't getting C's, they're like, you're good.
Yeah,
You know,
they weren't
so-
strict parents.
Yeah, it wasn't like you better get straight A's or anything like that. And yeah, it was. I got really in probably 10th grade. I started getting really into like the more like political punk side of things. So
Propaganda?
Like, Propaganda, still one of my favorite bands of all time. But then it was like I was reading Noam Chomsky and like, you know, trying to be more educated. And like, you know,
Wow.
I drank alcohol then, but I never touched weed or drugs or cigarettes really until like after high school.
Okay.
Like I was always kind of like, I thought that like drugs would make you stupid. And like, I was all about, you know, being smart and
They
you
can
know.
do that.
Yeah.
Being
they-
pure
yeah,
and focused.
Yeah. But
Wow.
then ultimately they found their way in.
But and then you graduated obviously.
Yep. Graduated.
And what were your goals then?
So in school, I didn't know what the fuck I wanted to do. All I knew, like I was in our band, I was always the guy running the band. That was like figuring out like, okay guys, we're going to go record at this studio. I'm going to book
Yeah.
it. I'm going to put the money up. Like I'm going to design the t-shirts. I'm going to design the record. Like everyone else is just kind of like, they just show up and play. I was like the one trying to like keep it going. So I thought I wanted to do something in business was all I knew. Like I want to have a company. But then because of design, and I was always like good at drawing. Like I was the kid in like school that was like always drawing. I just realized you could go to school for graphic design. I didn't even know that was a job.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, that can be a career. Okay. Yeah. So then I went to art school in Laguna Beach for graphic design. Cause I knew I wanted to be on the West Coast. Like ever since I was a kid, my dad had taken us out to Hermosa,
yeah.
you know, in the summer for like a week at a time. I just remember thinking like, there's people skating everywhere. I was just like, this is the coolest place.
The Mecca, skateboard Mecca.
Yeah, right. Yeah. No, you know, all the punk bands are from California that I was into. So then I was like, yeah, I just got to find an art school that has a
Out
decent
here.
program out here. So I went there for design, and then I quit school because I was kind of bored. Like all the years of doing design for bands, like it wasn't like I was learning anything in school. Like I was constantly getting great grades without trying. And I'm like, wait a second, why am I spending all this money?
Right.
Because my parents weren't paying for it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I'm just like, I'm going to go move, you know, and try to do music, or maybe I'm going to try to go, you know, just get a graphic design job. I don't need to like be in school.
Yeah.
So then I ultimately ended up moving back to Philadelphia, and tried to get a design job and I couldn't get one.
Yeah, they were like,
It was like I got woke up.
They're like, where's your degree?
Yeah. They're like, you're not that good. Like, what have you? Like,
right.
we don't need you to design band posters. Like, we need you to design fucking logos for pharmaceutical companies. Like, what? Yeah. So then I kind of had this like rude awakening of like, fuck. All right, now I got to go back to school. But I'm like, if I go back, I'm going to a really good place. I'm not going to just like spend money. So then I applied to the school that I was told was the best school in the country for graphic design, which is Art Center in Pasadena here.
Okay.
And somehow I got in. And then once I moved back here for that, then it was like everything, like school for the first time ever got serious for me.
Okay.
So then I like fully applied myself and like was
How old were
doing
you
well.
then?
I was 24, I think, at
Okay.
that time. Yeah. And it was really fucking hard. Like,
okay.
Yeah, I mean, it was like, it wasn't like, oh, hey, your homework assignment for this class is design a poster. They're like, design 20 posters and it's due next week.
Oh my
Wow.
And then out of the 20, they'll be like, okay, these 9 or these 15 are shit. These 5 are okay. Do 15 more. Oh, and you got a new assignment too. So, I mean, it was just like gnarly.
Hard work and a challenge for you too. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But that was kind of where I started like shifting away from, just finally being like fully serious about something. And then while I was in school, I saw there was an advertising program and those guys were doing stuff that was more funny and like design was very like meticulous. Like, and that wasn't me. Like, I'm not like a design on a grid type thing.
Yeah.
Like, I like shit that's funny and stupid. And there's not a lot of funny and stupid in like the very kind of German graphic design world. So I switched to advertising and kind of went that route and then ultimately graduated and got my first job in advertising in Boulder, Colorado at this agency that they were called Crispin Porter and Boguski. And they did most of the really weird, disruptive advertising that I had seen.
Okay.
Where they kind of advertise like they want to hire people that like other companies wouldn't hire.
Okay.
They want weirdos
Right, so-
and stuff like that. So
So they moved to Boulder, Colorado. That's a big change.
yeah, that
Wow.
was big. Yeah, that was big.
It's nice there though. I like Colorado. You like Colorado?
I love Colorado.
It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The air is nice. Yeah.
It was a little like Boulder was great, but it was kind of like it's a very homogeneous place. Like it's like everybody has a $2,000 mountain bike, a dog, and you like bluegrass music. Like there's not a lot beyond that.
Wow.
So I always had to drive 45 minutes or however far into Denver to go see all the shows I wanted
Yeah,
to go
great
to.
shows.
Yeah.
Great place to see
I love playing shows. Bluebird Theater is a bunch of good spots. Ogden.
I saw Gojira play in like a bar that maybe twice the size of your house.
Wow.
And that was amazing. Yeah, there was a lot. We saw a lot of good shows when I was out there.
So how long are you out there for?
I was there for 2 years. Kind of learned, again, super intense place to work. Like,
Yeah.
we were working like 80-hour weeks easy every week, especially when you're the young guy. It's like,
Yeah.
there was one day where I went into work at 9 a.m. on a Monday, worked all the way through Monday, through the night into Tuesday, and did not leave until 1 a.m. Tuesday night.
Wow.
It was crazy. So then,
Holy
like, after
shit.
2 hours of that, two years of that, I was just like, okay, I gotta find something else.
Yeah.
At least another place to work at. But it was that place that's like everyone goes because you make amazing shit there that gets you hired at other places.
Yeah.
So, we made some cool stuff there for sure. And that got me my next job. But after that, I then took a job that I was offered in Seattle, Washington for another agency. And I loved Seattle. I lived right next to that venue, Numos, which is like one of my favorite venues.
I know Numos,
ever.
yeah.
Yeah.
I like Seattle. It rains so much though, right?
It was, yeah. And I went during, like, I moved in November, I think it was. So it's like literally like the grayest season of Seattle.
Did you like it though?
I did, yeah. I hated the job I ended up taking there. It was like one of these things where it's like everything they had done before was just like terrible, but they're like, oh no, we're trying to totally change the company around. That's why we're hiring you. And like, we're going to make, and it's like, it never is.
Yeah.
They did all the work for T-Mobile. It's just like, it's just the worst.
So excited.
Yeah. It's like, and,
Did you have a girlfriend traveling with you everywhere? Or just you?
no, I was single. I was single. Yeah.
Yeah. It's grinding.
Grinding. Yeah. But then, it was just Seattle was a cool place. Like went, again, would just see a bunch of shows, hang out with cool people.
You were there for 2 years?
No, I was in Seattle for 6 months.
You're like, I had enough of this.
Yeah, I was just like
Dang.
after a long winter, like just gray winter.
Does it get depressing, like the weather?
I wouldn't say it gets depressing. It's more like if there's anything that you don't like in your life, it just amplifies it. And it's like, I hated I totally, like the job was not at all what I signed up for.
Yeah.
And it was just like, oh man, like what did I do? So it was, and as much as I loved it, I loved my apartment, just serendipitously, another agency reached out to me in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And my younger brother had been living in San Francisco for a while, and they made me an offer to go work down there. I was like, shit, I just moved here. I don't really want to move again.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a great offer. My brother was there. I went to visit San Francisco, and it was cool. This was like kind of before the tech kind of craziness happened. So I said, fuck it, and took the job there, moved to San Francisco.
Wow, man.
And then,
so much traveling in such a short time, it seems.
I know. Like ever since I basically graduated high school, I've kind of been like a nomad. Like right after high school, I was in a band called Since Day One that we were in since high school, and we all moved to Boston together to try to like make it in a band.
Make it in Boston?
That's crazy.
Because that was like
go to Boston and try to make a band happen.
You skipped right over New York.
Well, at that time, like Boston was sort of the epicenter of all the hardcore bands that were like our idols, like Converge and Cave In, Shadows Fall, like all the
what year was that? Early 2000s?
Hydra Head bands. It was literally the year 2000.
Okay.
Yeah. So
dang, that's crazy.
That's funny.
So we moved up.
How long did you last there for, Boston?
A year.
Okay.
And that was like the bands didn't like. I moved up there, but the drummer of the band never ended up moving up. He was supposed to, and he was like, "Oh no, I'm going to come." It never came. So I got my first full-time job working at like a ski shop called Ski Market, selling snowboards, and that was like my 40-hour-a-week job just to kind of pay the bills. And
wow, man.
We tried doing that for a year. We played a festival up there that the singer in our band actually put on himself. It was called Fuck Fest, actually.
I've heard that about that, maybe.
Really?
Your singer put it on?
Yeah, and it was like all those bands, like, I don't know what you call it. It's like the early Screamo shit. Like, remember bands like Orchid?
Yeah.
Yeah, like Orchid, Joshua Fit for Battle, who was from Delaware, Usurp Synapse.
Go ahead.
Like all these just like crazy, like noisy, like grind sort of bands.
I remember Orchard for sure.
Yeah.
It was such a different time. Everybody was a different style of music that time.
It was,
right?
yeah.
It was on the verge of like almost metal hardcore into scream style, right? That
Yeah,
time?
yeah, like really fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what did you guys sound like? What was your major influence?
We were really weird. I mean, it was like a band where half the band's favorite band was Hot Water Music and the other half's favorite band was Converge. It was like something in between.
Yeah.
Our bassist was insanely good, and he always felt that bassists were oppressed in bands. Like, how come the bass always has to play the stupidest line? Like, he wanted to play like the weird, just like crazy bass stuff. He was even playing slap bass in certain
Chili
songs.
Pepper style, yeah.
Yeah. But
Like,
it was in a hardcore band.
Yeah.
they're like, that's what we're locking you down.
Yeah, but the bass,
slapping
the bass
your
and the
bass.
drums is everything, though. Like that's
It's
Yeah.
true.
super important, man.
Absolutely, man. That rhythm section.
That's what
Keeping it
I
together.
mean. It keeps the whole groove.
Yeah, man.
But I know what he's saying, though. Yeah. Wow.
And he was so like any bassist that played with a pick and not his fingers, he'd just be like, oh.
One of those guys. Yeah.
So when that didn't work out, what you done with music after that? Because you started traveling so much.
Kind of, yeah. It was like once we moved back from Boston and that band kind of dissipated, ended up starting another band that was totally different. That was more like pop punk with a girl singer.
Okay.
Super catchy.
That's cool.
Our drummer was like obsessed with Travis Barker. So he played Barry Blink 182 kind of style drums. And that was actually like the closest we got to actually having a band do something where like we actually had a label be like, oh, we want to release your guys' record.
Yeah.
And it was just, again, one of those things where the drummer had issues and like like I just wasn't confident that the band was even going to stay together.
Drummers.
Yeah.
Like, because he was in another band where halfway through the tour, he got homesick and just left the tour.
Oh,
Wow.
man.
Yeah.
You know, like, just like,
A lot of
man, how
people don't
pissed.
understand like how difficult it is to keep a band together.
Together.
Yes,
You
man.
know, it's really one of the most difficult things about being an artist, you know,
Yeah.
in a band. Keeping it together.
Yeah.
All the different personalities
Yeah.
and mood swings and
And usually for long periods of time, too, right? It's like,
yeah.
you
Yeah.
got to keep it together for like 10 years to maybe hit that, like,
Yeah, and maybe hit that.
Hit
you
that,
know,
right.
It's
how many years are you in Sepultura now?
it's over 20 years, like 22
Wow, man.
years or so.
what year did you start with them?
97, 98. Like it was that's end of 97.
Got it.
But yeah, it takes a
Yeah.
lot, man. A lot of, I mean, with you, Toby, how long?
26 years in the band.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a lot of communicating.
Yeah. You have
know,
to love each other unconditionally, like,
Yeah.
and be friends. And yeah, it's like a brotherhood, you know?
And also have that same goal, you know,
Right.
you're wanting the same thing. You
Right.
know, being
Very lucky,
unified
man.
on that with all those different personalities.
Yeah.
Throw that in with like everyone's personal life.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, man.
You know, it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah, I would have rather like the bands now. Some bands now they don't even talk to each other. They go on
Yeah.
stage, separate
Different
buses,
managers.
separate dressing rooms, separate managers.
Oh, wow.
Go on stage, play, get the check. and
I believe
then
Linkin Park,
separate
they,
checks
they
too.
all had different managers.
Yeah.
But
that's
a lot
crazy.
of them did. Yeah.
But don't even talk to each other. Different planes. It's just a different world. Like
yeah.
it's a lot of money at stake. But I would never want to do that because I want to.
Yeah.
I want to love the guys I'm on stage with. Some don't even look
exactly.
at each other. Some bands, you know.
I would find that
Crazy.
Wow.
extremely difficult to have that weird separation of just like, okay, you go that way, and we'll meet on stage.
Yeah, it's like being married and sleeping in separate bedrooms.
Exactly.
Yeah.
100%, man.
I mean, I don't know. Certain bands can do this, you know, can function. You know,
Yeah.
they find a way to do that. But I think when we got started, it was really about being with friends,
100%.
enjoying the music, 100, you know, completely being committed in that way. You know,
Yeah, like Rusty never played a guitar before.
Mm.
He just like, oh, let's start a band. I never really sang before. Let's just do
Right.
it. So we started jamming, and like when we're musicians, you know what I mean. And when we're not, I'm not the best singer. Rusty's not the best guitar player, but when we're all together, it works. You know what I mean?
yeah.
How long were you guys playing before you were like legit touring and having like some real success?
First show was in '94. That was at Murphy's Law in Queens, New York. And then the next show we had was like with the Cro-Mags at Limelight.
Right.
And then it was with Rancid Lunatics at the Limelight.
Yes.
And then we started getting, just because I was a roadie with Sick World, I had made friends with different bands around the country. So
That helped.
I had like this band that had 5 songs, so we easy to throw on any bill because we had 5 songs. You would start jumping on stuff like that. And then we got signed to Equal Vision, did our first 7-inch. That came out like 95, 2-song 7-inch. We had a demo. And then from there, we signed to Blackout Records into our first album. That came out in 96. It happened pretty fast.
Oh,
man.
that's pretty cool.
But then the Boston's took us on tour in 96, and that changed our whole life, our whole perspective on touring and being a real legit band, how you treat other bands, how you treat support bands. They're like the best humans to tour with, you know what I mean? And then they kept taking us on tour. When they kept blowing up with Let's Face It album, they continued to take us on tour. Even when they were huge on MTV, they were still the exact same
That's
dudes.
so
and
cool.
so yeah, they taught us a lot, man, like taking us under the wing. For sure, yeah. Our first U.S. tours with 1996, the Beer and Water tour, H2O Murphy's Law tour.
Yeah.
We all got beer and water tattoos matching.
That's cool.
Yeah, man. I don't know. We'll get to your story, but I just had made like you. I just made a sticker. I said my band's called H2O. We had nothing out. I had
I
one
remember
sticker.
he was designing the sticker.
Yeah, it's like a water drop logo.
Yeah, he was like, yo, I got this idea. I was like, I get it. You know, water,
I have a tattoo of it.
the drop.
And so the name was more of a thing before we had anything to show for it.
Yes.
And the sticker, and then jumping on stage and doing one song like opening for Biohazard or Rancid so it just became this kind of a buzz before the internet about a band called H2O, and then we finally put a demo out, a demo tape. We had 100 copies. And then people were like, oh shit, this dude's kind of singing like,
Right.
it was
cool.
weird. It was something different. Yeah. So
Wait, how did you guys meet originally?
Because I was working across the street from him, and we also were going to shows. We're in the same scene.
yeah, he
Oh.
came from a
You know.
hardcore band in Cleveland called Outface
Right.
Oh, okay.
And so
with
then-
Charlie from Civ was in the same
Oh.
band.
And so we knew a lot of the same people, and we were just, I mean, it was such small worlds back then. You know,
Yeah.
even if it was like hip hop world or hardcore, it would kind of cross over a lot of times.
Yeah.
All the time, actually. You know, because everybody was into hip hop. They were a
Especially
little
New
bit
York.
into hardcore, especially New York.
Yeah.
And so it just grew. And that's when he was going through the whole thing of designing. And I was like, yo, I'll help Brody, you know, some of these shows.
So
It was hilarious.
He worked
man.
at Fat Farm. I worked at Nana, right across the street from each other on Prince Street in Soho.
And I worked with his future wife.
Oh yeah, that's right. So he worked the door at Beauty Bar. My wife was a bartender at Beauty Bar on 14th Street. He was like the guy there.
I was the guy.
And then some of the other clubs me and my friends used to go to, he'd be at some of those clubs as well.
Yeah.
All right, so back to you. So Boston, where do you go after Boston?
No, but Boston, you were there, but so I'm trying to get this in my head straight. Like, so San Francisco, you already, were you playing in bands when you were out there? Like,
So San Francisco was way later. Boston was right after high school. That was like still got the, we're gonna be in a band.
You want to be a musician?
Want to be a musician?
Yeah.
hell yeah.
Yeah. And then moved back from Boston to Delaware. Then we kind of started this other like pop punk.
The girl
band.
singer, yeah. What was that band called?
That was called the Jasmine Fire.
Okay.
Jasmine.
It's a cool name.
And then
Is that her name?
No, her name was Elena.
Okay.
And then it's like that started going. But to your point, it's like everybody kind of had different personal goals. Where like the one guitar player, Dan, he's super smart and like was going to go to school to be like an astronomy teacher.
Damn.
You know, like so he was ready to go to college and do that whole thing. And it's like, yeah, he was saying he was ready to be in the band, but like, I don't know. It's like, you know, the drummer, like his last band. So then I got accepted to the first art school, the one that wasn't great. So now all of a sudden we had this decision, like,
You're like,
do you just say, all right, I just had a band thing not go well in Boston. We're in this new one that doesn't look too promising. Am I going to turn down college for this or not?
yeah.
And it was probably one of the tougher decisions I've ever had to make.
Wow.
And I picked college, and I went out to
And
LA.
did they continue the band without you?
They didn't, no.
Okay.
And I think that shows, like, if it
Right.
really was together, like,
Right.
I was just a guitar player. I wasn't
Wow.
singing or anything.
Did you write some songs with them too?
Yeah, like me and Dan wrote most of the songs.
Okay.
And then there was then that period around that same time when we had the pop punk band. Our other friends had this hip hop group that was starting to like make some noise.
Okay.
Like,
It wasn't Bloodhound Gang, right?
no.
Ooh,
Because
I
that's the
remember
same
that.
area.
Yeah.
This is the same area. No,
Okay.
nowhere near that noise. I mean, like,
Okay.
just like people around our town were like, "Oh, have you heard?"
What was the name of the group?
They called they called it Deadbeats.
Okay.
The Deadbeats, and it was all
That's kind of cool. Beats, dead beats. I get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Beats.
and it was just like dudes from our area that like, you know, grew up making punk, or even like the one guy was super into like 9 Inch Nails and like electronic gothy stuff.
Yeah.
But then he started making these hip hop beats that were like legitimately good. And then they were rapping on it and it actually sounded really good. And then as a joke, I recorded a verse on one of their on one of the songs. And I was a terrible singer. Like, I can't sing to save my life, like in a punk band.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, my voice sounded good
Rapping.
bars.
doing that as a
Wow,
joke.
this guy got bars.
So then that became
Who
like,
knew?
that became a thing.
So
And
you started rapping in this group?
Please tell me yes.
not really. So I was on a song in the thing.
Okay.
And it was like, they were like, "Oh, dude, you have to like do more songs with us." I'm like, "This is stupid. Like, I'm not doing this."
Were
And
you a
then
hip hop fan at the time?
I was, yeah, because
Okay.
like I grew up with like, you know, like early, like I loved Outkast, and
Great.
you know, it was a little bit pre Jay-Z for me. Like I had like
Yeah.
select hip hop things that I liked, and then I moved out to LA. And like, I didn't have the group anymore, but Dave, the guy making the beats, would send me beats.
Wow.
And then I would just like on my own, just like fucking around with like, you know, laptop or whatever, just like record stuff and write
So you were
stuff.
writing lyrics, or did
Yeah, I
you-
was writing. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
And then
This guy's a fucking MC too, man.
it's so weird.
That's how old are you then?
I was
20s?
at that time about 20.
Okay.
Yeah. And then there was this
Wow, I wanna hear
label.
this shit.
There was a label in LA. This guy was like, I don't know, he was in like some 70s keyboard band where he made some okay money. And he made his own studio over near, where was it? It was like on Century and La Brea.
Okay.
And I forget how it happened. I don't know if like I sent, like they were requesting demos or something. And I think I sent something. So then they were like, oh, we love this. Like, we want to sign you. And I'm like, this is crazy.
Wow.
Whoa.
So the punk rock stuff you're really passionate about really tried in East Coast.
And then the
all
side
of a sudden
project
you're a
thing
rapper.
somehow bubbled up.
Crazy.
This weird side project thing.
Dude, and wow. So this keyboardist guy was like, yo.
His name was Felix. Yeah.
Felix was like, yo.
I wonder what band he's from.
This,
We
I
find
know.
out.
He
With some
was,
research.
they were searching.
And at that time, it was like when Eminem was like at huge. So
Yeah.
all these guys were just like,
Okay.
what white rapper
Right,
dollar
right.
signs? Like, let's jump on this, like,
Right.
kind of like,
What was your MC name? What was your name? Did you have a name?
it was Strict 9.
Strict Night.
Strick, STRIKK.
I like it.
And where'd that come from?
Oh, what was it?
Don't tell me that's your graffiti tag.
No, it was like someone told me it was like,
Strict
it was like
9.
the thing that kills you in rat poison or something like
Wow.
that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Strict
that's
9.
why I was
Right.
Damn,
yeah,
bro,
yeah.
this
very
is fucking
clever.
lethal.
It was lethal.
Lethal.
This
Yeah.
guy's
That's-
venomous.
No, it's a
Wow,
legit
Strict
name.
9, that's cool.
Right.
Okay.
Yo, what's up, Strict 9?
Dude, I don't know if I can call you Mike anymore after this,
know.
man. This is so
Strict
cool.
9
My little
is-
brother still calls me Strick. He's like, "What's up, Strick?"
Yeah.
Okay, so now you're laying verses.
So then what they said was like,
Bars.
"Okay, hey, we're gonna sign you. We're not paying you any money, but you can record for free in our studio. We'll like produce a whole album for you."
Huh. Interesting.
I don't know.
And we'll own
I didn't even
it,
take
right?
this seriously. To me, this was
Right.
like a joke still. Like, I'm like, this is funny. Like, sure, you want to give me free studio time and let me make some ridiculous album? Like, sure.
So
yeah.
you're like, okay, I'm gonna roll.
I'm like, okay. So then, like, yeah, we
You came in.
went in there. We recorded a whole album that was
Wow.
like not good.
I gotta hear it.
I gotta hear this shit, man.
I'm so glad it doesn't even exist.
But do you
it's
but
gotta
do you
be
have dats or
somewhere.
something?
What's that?
You have any of it saved anywhere?
I don't. Like,
You're lying,
I
man.
swear to
I
God,
know
I
you
don't.
have it. Come on, Strict 9. Come on.
That's before the internet, man. So
Was
yeah.
it?
It was like, yeah, before
Yeah.
it was before iPods. Like, this
Okay,
was
all right,
like,
all right.
he just missed.
I had
the
it on
fucking-
like old hard drives that like don't even adapt anymore to
Okay.
like
Okay.
anything, you know?
Damn.
But do you still have those hard drives? Do you still have them?
No, I don't.
Damn.
Because I've moved so much.
Yeah.
I mean, and then when I lived in San Francisco, I had an apartment that I lived in for 10 days. It fucking burned down.
Wow.
Like, lost everything. The
Holy
only-
shit.
All right.
So what was the album called?
oh, fuck. what
Strict
was it?
9.
I don't even remember what the album was called, to be honest.
And you had no label for it, right? Or deal anything?
Well, they were a label, but they didn't know. I mean, this was a keyboard player guy that was like,
yeah, it's
stumbled.
keyboards.
Yeah.
Remember the
What
label?
was his name again?
Felix.
Felix was like, yo, we're gonna make this happen. Let's
Yeah.
blow this shit up.
Yeah.
So he was like, we got it. We, after the recording was done, you're like, yes.
Yeah, we're like, yeah, we got it. And then,
Were you excited about it? Like you?
yeah, I was excited because it was like this all happened so quickly. I didn't
Yeah.
pay any money.
And was Felix like making mad promises, like, yo, I'm taking this to the top?
Kind of, but not really. Like, it was almost like we had this album and it's like, all right, now what? And he's like, you got to go do shows. I was like,
It's like,
Wow,
what?
dude.
so it was just this. And then I was in school at the same time and I wasn't, again, I left the band to go take school somewhat seriously. I'm not going to go
Rhyme.
quit school to go be a fucking
And then
rapper.
rap by yourself with no band behind you. None. The
Yeah.
first time doing that. Yeah.
So then,
Wow.
shortly after that, the dudes who were making the beats that were like my friends that we had that group, they ended up moving out to California and we got a little house in San Diego together for a summer. Like, it was like, we didn't know how long we were going to stay there. And it was actually this crazy thing where a guy I knew grew weed and he was like, hey, if you use one of the rooms in the house to grow weed, we'll pay all the rent for the house.
Damn.
So we're like, hey, we can have a free house, build a studio in the living room and literally not need to work a ton and actually focus on music and like
Wow,
try to
man.
like write write a record
And
like
then have
together.
weed.
And the room was full of weed.
There.
One.
Did the house smell like weed?
Oh yeah, it was.
Oh,
it
I'm
was,
sure
it
it
was
was
terrible.
reeking.
Yeah, it was
I mean,
reeking.
I'm
Yeah, it was
sure.
terrible.
Wow.
But then it was like, we started recording stuff. We did a bunch of shows. So there was
You
this,
did shows.
yeah, in San Diego, there was this like open mic place that we started going to, and then people would come just for us. So like it was this thing where there was like 10 people there till by like 2 months later, like it was packed. Like it
And
was
this is
packed
you
with
rhyming
people.
there.
With the group. Yeah, it was
Okay.
called Deadbeats.
Oh,
Yeah, Dead
wow,
Beats, bro.
dude. That's right.
Yeah.
Strychnine and Deadbeat.
Wow.
So you started to develop some type of following, kind of. in
Kind
that
of,
area.
yeah, kind of there. And then again, same thing. Band people, like everyone has their own issues. And then the one guy missed his girlfriend, so he moved back to the East Coast. And then the other guy's like, well, if he's leaving, then I'm leaving. So then they left, and I'm just like, okay.
Do you
And
remember your
then-
first show rhyming on stage? Like, it's so different than playing
Yeah.
guitar in a band, like
It's
a punk
so
band.
different. Yeah, because you're just up there by yourself.
You must have been nervous, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
super nervous, yeah.
But after a while, did you get like you come into your own as far as like we started playing more shows? Did you feel like you were like a hip hop artist?
Yeah, there was kind of. Yeah, I think it was like people liked it. I still never understood why or how people liked it. Like, I think playing in the punk stuff, I was always like, this is so good. How come no one likes it? And then with rap, I'm like, this is terrible. How do people like this?
Yeah.
It was weird. It just never really like it. Again, it was just sort of this fun side thing that was just like.
But it started getting more of a buzz than any other projects you were in?
It did, yeah. And we started,
Wow.
we started getting, and I was in between because I quit school because I knew that I didn't want to be in school. I'm going to go get a job. So like, hey, we could try to do this music thing for a little bit, just see what happens. Like we haven't had traction like this anywhere before. So let's like try to do this. And yeah, again, that just sort of fell apart. And at that point I was just like, okay, I'm over this. So then that's when I moved back to Philly.
Okay.
And I was just like, I'm going to go get a design job, gonna, kind of get out of like this stupid, like trying to make it with music thing. Like it's
You were
never
done
worked
with it
out.
completely, yeah.
Yeah. I was just like, I'm just done with it.
And you haven't done music since that?
Not seriously. No.
Okay.
Just like always, like, had dudes that I would play with, like in San Francisco, my buddy Sean, awesome metal drummer. We had a little practice space and we would just write cool metal songs and
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like we never played any shows or anything.
But you
like
put the
that.
mic down for the MC shit though.
Yeah.
That's fucking.
Man.
And then the last MC thing I did was the thing I sent you.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
But that was supposed to be advertising
I'll send
career.
that to you, yeah.
Yeah, so I had the advertising career and like, making viral videos and all that stuff. And
So you
then-
sent me that, but I didn't know you had a past before that as an
Yeah,
MC.
yeah,
Well, I thought
yeah,
it was
yeah.
Know
like
about
rhyming
Strychnine.
for like this
Yeah.
ad thing. I know Strychnine. Such a good name. I'm
love
thinking about
it.
Tech 9 and this District 9 too.
Strychnine is dope.
Yeah, it is.
It's also what they use in one ingredient they used in creating horrible and some acid they would put.
Right. Or
strychnine.
like, yeah. I think I heard that too. Yeah.
I wouldn't know anything about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a big acid head, but I remember back in the day I was terrified that was one of the ingredients that they were using to hype you up.
So that made you not want to try acid because I was in there?
Absolutely.
Wow.
I was like, it's rat poison. And
Wow.
I did acid one time and it was a blast, but
yeah.
I felt like my the next day. I felt like I couldn't even think straight.
Right.
I was actually driving the next day. I came to a complete stop at a green light and I was sitting there waiting for it to change. And until, what am I doing?
Holy shit.
Yeah, I mean, it rocked.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely in certain doses of acid because you would never really know where it was actually coming from. That was the tricky thing about acid, at least back in the day. It didn't prevent me from not trying or experimenting with it, but it definitely led to me not wanting to do it once I had experimented and I was like, I had my fair share and I survived. So
You made it through, right?
Yeah, I'm done.
Because one trip could just ruin your whole life, pretty much. Depends, right, on the person.
Could.
Yeah.
I remember there was a guy
Or
at our
permanent
school.
damage or something.
Yeah, it could. I mean, I don't know. You never know.
Yeah.
I didn't want to take that chance.
Yeah.
So now you're back in Philly at a marketing firm?
Yeah. So I worked for this graphic design firm I got an internship for But then they ended up just firing me a couple months later.
Bastards.
And then I worked for this company called Fast Signs. You know, like they make like
Yeah,
vinyl signs and stuff. So I was just like making 16-year-old girl birthday banners for like this, you know, like, but yeah, so then I was looking for like, okay, if I'm going to go back to school, like where's a worthwhile place to go? And then eventually got back to LA to go to school at Art Center. So then, yeah, by that point it was like, I had been through failed bands, like
Moving
living
everywhere.
in a fucking drug house, like worried about like literally like be
Was that stressful?
Yeah.
so stressful.
Yeah.
Because helicopters would go around looking for heat.
Yeah.
And they would, and they would look for heat because there's lights
It's
and
like
grow
infrared
lights.
in the
Yeah.
light to
I didn't know
create
that.
this heat. Yeah.
So like every morning, like if I heard a helicopter, I'm just like what?
Yeah, that's
the-
fucking stressful.
It was super
you could went to jail
stressful.
for a long time for that
And
shit.
then I'm
Yes,
like,
you would.
I'm like, what? I'm like,
For
I'm smart. I come from a good family. Like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, it's like, so
But also, you have an MC past.
yeah.
So like you're drug
yeah,
to
you're
like hip hop.
yo, this is just the life, yo.
Some street cred shit. But that was after that.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
All right.
But I
That's
guess, I
scary.
guess part of it too was always like, music was so hard to do if you couldn't commit the time to it.
Yes.
So it was like, at that time, like, you couldn't pay the rent in San Diego or LA working a, $10 an hour job. Like, so it was like, this was like the only opportunity it seemed like we could afford to live in the type of
No,
place
it's
that we
great.
needed to
Yeah.
live in and do it. But then it was just like, yeah, this is too much. So then by the time I'm finally back in LA years later at a good school, my motivation was so easy. It's like, shit, like I'm not worried about getting arrested.
Yeah.
This is, this is easy to me.
No more music, none of that stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is easy. So then, yeah, it just kind of sparked the advertising career. And
What was your last job? What was the last one?
the
before
last
Liquid Death.
the last big agency job I had was for an agency in LA called Donor.
Okay.
They were an agency that started in Detroit back in the day, and they did a bunch of the really famous old ad campaigns, like the Colt 45 Billy D. Williams campaign.
Wow.
Ooh, that was hot.
That's
Yeah.
sick.
They did the how many licks does it take to get?
What? Central Lollipop?
Huge.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
they were this like big, but then in modern day, they didn't do anything good.
Yeah.
So they were trying to open this small LA office where they're like, hey, let's get some really creative people here that make some cool stuff under the Donor name, even though it's not really the main thing in Detroit.
Yeah.
So then I was doing that, and we worked on, like, the big account I worked on was Nestle. So I did DiGiorno frozen pizzas. And dude, it was just terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, we'd have to, like, their headquarters were in Cleveland.
Wow.
And I'd have to go to
Sorry.
Cleveland to those headquarters all the time. And it was,
I'm sorry about that.
Cleveland headquarters.
I know DiGiorno's there, but I'm still on the Billy D tip.
Yeah, like that, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
classic.
Colt
But the how many
45.
licks does it take too? The center of the Tootsie Roll Pop, right?
That was so big.
so big, yeah.
Really big. And it was great. Great idea. Great idea, you know.
Wow.
Well, back then it was a lot easier because if you had enough money, you could make sure that everybody saw your ad because there was way less channels on TV.
Yeah.
Remember back
yeah,
then, there's
that's
only
true.
like 20 some channels maybe.
Right.
So it's like you could just
Yeah,
buy
good
airtime on one channel and everybody's going to see it. Now it's
true,
way harder.
man.
Right.
Now it's way
Very
harder.
true.
Must be so hard to do advertising now, and like Netflix and Hulu and just everything, right?
It's just too much.
They probably
too
cross
much.
do everything,
It's-
cross promote.
It's so annoying, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
it's just
It's like they're trying, like they'll monetize any
yeah.
place there's an eyeball or an ear hole. You know,
Yeah.
it's like,
Unbelievably
Yeah.
true. Yes.
So you're at this. Is the last place you're working? Is this marketing spot? Is this when you come up with the idea for Liquid Deck? How did that happen?
yeah. So that's actually kind of a funny story too. So we didn't have to go through all that, but basically at another point I was living in Chattanooga, Tennessee
Yeah.
because
What? How'd you get there?
so it went Boulder, then it went Seattle. I worked for an agency there, moved to San Francisco, worked for an agency there. And then at that time I was really starting to get over advertising because like just clients want to buy the worst shit ever. Like you try to sell cool ideas like, hey, let's make this cool thing. And they're like, oh, no. We want to do this bullshit thing,
Right.
you know? And I was just like, man, like I wasn't doing music. I just felt really creatively stagnant. I'm just
Like
like
in a corporate world or
corporate
something?
world. Yeah, I was really just like, the money was really good, but I just started feeling like, fuck, I'm just like a slave to this paycheck. And like, I have no outlet. I'm not playing music. I'm not doing cool, creative stuff.
Yeah.
So then I was like, all right, well, because clients won't buy good work, I have to create my own product and do my own marketing for it.
I see.
And it was kind of out of necessity. So then at that time, I decided basically, all right, if you're going to make a product, do something that you have more understanding of and or a network of than anybody else does. Because like creating a product from nothing is so hard. You have to have some advantage to like what you're
Totally.
making. So at that time, my brother was a bartender. I was really into whiskey and all these like different spirits and things like that. My best friend Laura at the time, she worked for a big like wine and alcohol distributor. At the time I was dating a girl who was like a mixologist at like a fancy cocktail. I'm just like,
Wow.
okay, liquor culture, like I'm a part of, like I'm going to create a liquor brand. So then at the time I was working on the airline Virgin America as an account in advertising.
Yeah.
And I was reading about Richard Branson a ton. And I really loved his perspective on business, which was Virgin finds a really stale category and they become the one cool thing in that category.
Wow.
So it was like air travel was like the worst shit ever. Like nothing sexy about American Airlines or like any of that. So then Virgin were like, we're going to make an airline and have neon lights and everybody gets a cool little TV and everything's sexy and cool.
It's like a nightclub vibe.
Like a nightclub, right?
I love it, man.
So then I love that perspective of Virgin. So I'm like, okay, if I'm going to make liquor, let me find the only category of liquor that has no cool brands in it. And it was hard because it was like everybody was doing a whiskey. Yeah. There was a million cool vodkas, million cool like, aperitif type things, million cool gins. So the only thing I could find was brandy. And it was literally like in the liquor store, there were dust on the brandy bottles, right?
Yeah. Brandy is not sexy.
Is brandy not good?
No, it's not good at all. It's like, I don't know, old man.
Exactly.
Drink.
Yeah, old man drink.
Let's have a brandy. It's like, ugh.
Okay.
On purpose?
Some old school shit.
The brandy you probably know is Hennessy.
Okay.
Because that's cognac. Cognac is a type of brandy.
Well, then somehow that became cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
cognac. So the only thing people knew about brandy was cognac.
Right.
Which is a type of brandy. Just like how Merlot is a type of wine.
Okay.
It's not all wine. It's just one type. So people kind of knew Hennessy and cognac. So then I came up with this idea because whiskey was the most popular spirit at the time. Like they couldn't keep whiskey on the shelves. Like everybody was making a cool whiskey brand. So I wanted to take brandy and market it like whiskey because when I tasted it, it tasted a lot like whiskey, just a little bit sweeter.
Okay.
And I was like, well, shit, if whiskey is the most popular thing right now, and this stuff tastes pretty close to it, in theory, this could be really popular too if people just knew more about it.
True.
So then I created this brand that I based on a hot water music song called Western Grace. So I named the brand Western Grace. And I designed like what the bottle would look like and the label and had a point of view on marketing because of my advertising background. That shit's easy for me to pull together. And then looked up brandy distilleries, like who the fuck even makes it? Found this distillery 2 hours north of San Francisco in a town called Ukiah.
Okay.
These two old guys have been making brandy for like 20 years.
Wow.
And like some of the best in the world, apparently. And I went up there and presented them this thing and they were kind of like, excited. Like we've been waiting for someone to make brandy cool forever.
To rebrand brandy.
Brandy.
Yeah. Holy shit.
So then
stoked.
So I was stoked. So all of a sudden they're like, yeah, like we'll make the brandy for you and you can do all the marketing and, we'll just own a piece of the company or whatever. So then it was like, okay, I have a brand and I have a producer. So now I'm like, I don't know shit about the liquor industry.
Yeah.
Like, probably going to need some investors.
I'm going to need some help.
Yeah.
So literally I went on LinkedIn, which I think is one of the most valuable platforms that people underutilize ever.
Okay.
Like looked up liquor industry people on LinkedIn and my favorite liquor brand at the time was Sailor Jerry Rum and that whole success story.
Okay.
He was like a punk rock Philly ad guy that had the rights to Sailor Jerry's tattoo art made his own liquor brand based on it.
Wow.
10 years later, sold it, his share of it, for $40 million.
Wow.
And it was, and then he kind of had fuck you money, and all the people that worked for his agency kind of all dispersed out. And I happened to find 2 of them and kind of told them about my project. And they were like, oh yeah, this sounds cool. We want to be involved. Mm-hmm. So then that was when I was in San Francisco. So then they were like, all right, well, if we're going to do this, you have to move to Philly because we're not moving to San Francisco.
Wow.
Okay.
And there was 2 of them. So I was like, fuck. So I'm so tired of moving. So then I moved back to Philly, got like a whatever day job in advertising just to pay the bills. And then every day we were working on the side, making this liquor company a real thing. And, did that for 2 years there. And then I kind of realized building a liquor company is super insane because of all the legal red tape.
Right. I was going to ask you.
I mean, we spent more money on like lawyer stuff and things like that than we did on Liquid Death. Just, you're not even close. And then I sort of realized too, in liquor, marketing doesn't really have a huge impact until later because you can't sell liquor direct to people. So it's not like I can attract a bunch of people to my website and sell brandy. It's illegal. You have to buy it at a bar or a liquor store, and those places won't even carry you unless you go through these whole process. Mm-hmm. So the liquor game as a startup is more about bartender acquisition and tastings where you have to go get these bartenders to like give a shit and talk about your product to people. It's like not fun stuff to do. Mm-hmm. So my partners were good at that side of it. I was a marketing guy. So at a certain point, like we butt heads on a lot of different things. And I'm just like, you know what? You guys take it from here. I'll take my little piece of vested equity. I'm going to go back to the ad world and do my thing because we just like, we're not getting along. And like they were sort of independently wealthy from some other things they had done.
Nice.
So they were like, Mike, you have to work on this full time, but we're not paying you money.
Okay.
So I'm like, well, what the fuck am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
I can't, you know? Well, then, you can't have the same ownership. And
so they're still going?
So I'm pretty sure it's still around. Like they were in maybe 60 bars in LA.
Wow.
They kind of went through some management overhaul, and then the guys running it, I think they're based in Austin now, and they're trying to get it going in Texas and Austin. Okay. Last I heard, they were trying to raise some money. I don't know if they were able to do it.
Do you have to go through Hot Water Music and get permission when you do something like that?
No, because it's a song title, so it's not like trademarked.
Okay. Were they stoked?
They were. I sent Chuck Reagan like a tweet saying, "Hey, name this," and he retweeted it. It was like, "Oh, that's so cool."
Awesome.
So they were super cool with it.
Wow.
Yeah. And then after I left them, at the same time, my buddy was starting like a small startup ad agency in Chattanooga, Tennessee, which is where he was originally from.
Okay. Did you have to go there?
Yeah. So he's like, "Hey, if you come to Chattanooga, help me run this agency." And I was like, I never thought I would live in the South, Right. Like, I was like, Philly, Seattle, LA.
Staying above the Mason-Dixon line.
But I actually really liked Chattanooga, actually. It was a cool town. Like, everybody was so friendly and nice.
Small town vibes.
Small town.
Great. Yeah.
How long were you out there for?
I was there for a year. So we were, doing this little 9-person ad agency. And that was when the idea for Liquid Death came about, when I was there. Because their sort of sweet spot that they found was we started doing really funny advertising for the organic industry. Okay. Which they had never done funny stuff before. It was all just family farms and like the sun setting over cows, Yeah. So we did this viral campaign for this. It was the first organic protein shake. And
maybe we tried it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the company is called Organic Valley. They do most of the milk and butter in like Whole Foods. Like they're huge, like $1 billion company. But they were like, they knew that when they were launching a protein shake, all their family farm Sunset stuff was not going to sell protein shakes to like the hardcore fitness crowd. So they were like, we want to do something fun. So we did this whole campaign called Save the Bros, where basically it's like, if bros keep drinking all these chemically protein shakes, like they're probably not going to be around much longer. Then like, who's going to bring the beer pong table? And like,
Oh my God.
so we had this whole sad infomercial about save the bros and, you know, get them on an organic protein shake before they become extinct, essentially.
Wow.
And
How'd
that
that go?
blew up. Yeah,
Holy
blew
shit.
up. Huge.
Save the bros.
Save the bros. And then that was sort of like an aha moment for me in terms of like, yeah, how come healthy things aren't marketed in a cooler, funnier way? Why is it all so quiet and boring?
And serious.
Meanwhile, alcohol, energy drinks, candy, Doritos, Cheetos, all that shit is like funny and amazing, you know? So then I kind of had this side project idea of doing water in a can to basically make fun of energy drinks. Essentially, it was like, we, you know, it could be this thing. And I think the original name that we were joking about was calling it No Bull, like making fun of like Red Bull.
Oh, wow.
But there was like no bullshit in it because energy drinks are just full of bullshit.
That's pretty clever too, though. There would have been some serious beef, though, probably.
Yeah, it was just like, and it was small.
No pun intended.
Yeah, it was like, I'm not doing this just to, like, I don't want to make the whole company just like an energy drink dig, because like, I'm not against energy drinks. Like, you know, there's a right time for them, but like, why should they literally own skateboarding and punk rock and all the cool things I like? You know, because they literally own it. Monster right now is valued at $50 billion. Red Bull's about $60 billion. Mountain Dew is Pepsi, which is for like $200 billion.
It's all public knowledge.
Yeah. This is all. Oh, yeah. You can look it up on the internet.
Some real stats.
Where are you getting your numbers
No,
from?
I believe them.
Monster's a publicly traded company. They're on, they're on the stock market.
And they're independent, right?
No. Coke owns a piece of them, and I think they might have bought a majority of them recently. I'm not sure.
But Red Bull's independent.
Red Bull's independent.
Wow.
Red Bull's independent.
That's a big indie label.
So like these guys they're all literally billionaires that can just throw around money, and like, who else is throwing money at bands or skateboarders or things like that? Before Red Bull, nobody was.
Yeah.
Right.
You know? So I just thought that was just kind of this cool thing of like, hey, let's put water in a can. And then the more I learned about cans, it's like, oh yeah, they're infinitely recyclable. And plastic was kind of starting to really become like this hot topic of how bad it was and what it was doing. So all of a sudden it was just like everything sort of came together of like, hey, this is like a more sustainable thing. It's about health. And now let's just build a brand around it that not only can compete with like the, you know, extreme marketing of Red Bull and Monster, but actually even one up it and make it seem like the corporate bullshit that it is.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So it was like when we were coming up with the brand for Liquid Death, I mean, it was really me by myself. It was like, I'm thinking through, all right, the only way this has a chance at surviving with no money, like no marketing dollars, is the product itself has to be insanely shareable. Like when you get it in your hand, people have to take their phone out and be like, I got to take a photo of this and put it on.
It's true,
social.
man. Okay. It's really true.
Because without that
Visual.
organic sharing, we wouldn't be able to afford paying for all the eyeballs.
You were thinking about this.
Had to.
Okay.
Yeah, because I mean, that was the benefit of coming from marketing to know.
Got it.
You know,
Right.
just to advertise on a podcast. Some people, you know, I think Joe Rogan charges like $50,000 or something for one drop on a podcast. It's like, what are you going to do as a new company? You don't have that kind of money.
We charge. I just want to let you know we charge 50 cents.
Yeah. But, you know, it's like, you know, I think that was always a part of what this brand would be. And the other thing I knew was like, to make something that is so clearly not corporate, you know, it's like, I wanted a thing that looked away and had a name where when you saw it in 2 seconds, you're like, that's not from Coke and that's not from Pepsi. Like there's probably a real human being behind this that I might want to have a beer with because it's funny. And it's like, that goes a long way with people, especially in the beverage world where everything is kind of corporate and boring because Coke, Pepsi, they own everything.
Yeah.
Totally.
Make all the decisions. They set all the rules essentially. So that's kind of, you know, started coming up with the Liquid Death brand.
You came up with the name?
Yeah, came up with the name.
And the Murder Your Thirst?
And Murder Your Thirst, yeah.
It's just so perfect, man.
And that was starting to happen in Tennessee when I was there. And then this is where skateboarding came in. Out of the blue again, I got a job offer from Street League Skateboarding.
Big deal.
And for me, that was like, I've been working on fucking frozen pizzas and college university
Cleveland.
stuff.
So far away from your roots, so far away from skateboarding.
Yeah, so far away. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, hey, this big skate company with Rob Deerdeck like wants to hire me
no joke.
As a creative director. And I was like, this seems like the dream job.
Was Paul Conroy there too then?
I don't think so.
Okay. Shut up, Paul. What's up, Paul?
So then I moved back to LA because they're like, so I moved to LA,
Wow,
worked at Street League. I only was at Street League for like 8 months, and it was fun, but it was kind of like a mutual thing. Like at the end of the day, they realized like I was probably too expensive for what they really needed. Like they didn't need a big advertising creative director. They needed like a skateboarder who could call the pro homies to go film whenever they want.
Yeah.
And they were really battling like a bad reputation in skateboarding as being a thing for little kids and not really being respected in like the core skate world.
Was that Fantasy Factory time or no?
Yeah, that was around that same
Okay.
time. And it was like, you go to a Street League event and it was like lots of little kids there and like, and like you talk to like skate shops and they would just feel like, yeah, Street League's kind of cheesy. So they were like very paranoid about, they want to come off as like, they want to celebrate the things that feel like the core skateboarders would like.
Yeah.
So they just kind of started going a different direction. And me and, Brian, Atlas, the president, and Rob, like we all liked each other. And it was like hey, this probably just isn't going to work. And I'm like, hey, I totally get it. I don't really get it either.
Yeah.
I was used to doing funny commercials and things like that. Skateboarding has no money to do anything.
Yeah.
It was very, very low key. So I wasn't that happy either. Anyhow, we mutually split ways. And then, I started working for other agencies and I just kind of kept developing the Liquid Death idea on the side. And then eventually when I was at Donor here, I released that first commercial of the waterboarding.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I think we spent $1,500 to shoot that and make that video. And I knew that before we ever had product, I had to pretend it was a real product.
It's crazy, man.
And release it on social and see how people reacted to it. And cut to 3 months later, the video has 3 million views. We have more followers than Aquafina, and we're not even a real product. It's like totally
you
just
had nothing in play yet.
No, nothing in
Where
play
you're
yet.
gonna get it,
right.
Wow,
the
man.
actual water or anything. So
Right.
Artwork as far as
Just the artwork, kind of like early artwork on the
Okay.
can, which didn't even look exactly like this. It was
Okay.
kind of different, and we would even like change the artwork.
right.
And then, like we started getting direct messages from distributors. Hey, we're the biggest non-alc distributor in New York. Can we talk to a salesperson? And then,
Yo, it's me.
yeah, right.
You're talking to him.
Yeah. So then I just,
Wow.
I took all of that, and that was enough to actually get people to give me money for this
Right.
insane idea.
That's what I was gonna.
If I just would have said, oh, hey, I have this idea for canned water called Liquid Death. Do you want to write me a check for $50,000?
Right. So where did you look for these investors? Like you had like the idea in hand. You had all those numbers.
We
that
works in
were-
marketing too, so that's that connect, right?
Well, I would think so,
Yeah.
but I mean, you're looking for people who have money. Are like, yo, I got this money to invest.
Yes.
And
So we looked at,
believe in it.
right. and for the first round of funding that you do for a company, it's almost always what they call friends and family. It's like old bosses I worked for
Right,
that,
right.
that were well off, that liked me and respected me. My family isn't wealthy or anything, so it wasn't much family, but it was mostly just like former bosses, people I knew, and they had friends that were like, oh, hey, this looks like a cool thing I'm getting in on. Do you
Yeah.
want to get in on it?
Did you? I mean, you had to do research on the entire water game. To tell those investors, like, hey, in 5 years, this is where we should be at. Like a projection. Like, did you have to do all the numbering, like, to figure it out?
Yeah, I had to do a lot of research on like the water market, and you looked, and it was like at that time, water had just surpassed soda for the number one non-alc beverage category.
Wow.
Okay.
It was like soda was always the king forever.
Yeah.
And then bottled water passed soda. I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay.
So that was like
Finally.
that was like a nice stat to be able to talk about. Hey, this is the biggest category that is marketed in the most narrow way. Like everybody drinks water. So there's room for all kinds of marketing in that category.
True.
Not
Totally.
everybody drinks energy drinks, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
That's true.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So we raised a friends and family round that was like just enough to produce a minimum run of product. Like we just need something physical.
Right.
And then
You start getting. You said you got nominated for some awards before you even had product too, right?
yeah, so once we were getting that internet traction, and it was kind of going, I don't want to say it was viral, but it was getting a lot of traction on the internet and getting some press write-ups about, hey, water company, Liquid Death, these folks in Europe caught wind of it and invited us to these European beverage awards saying, hey, we think you should submit your brand in these European beverage awards. So we did, and we ended up getting nominated for best new brand.
What did you submit
Isn't that
to them,
freaking
though?
crazy?
I mean, were they testing it like, oh,
Did you bring anything
Well,
with
no,
you?
when it's brand, it's not about taste.
Okay.
It's like about best new brand. So it's like
okay.
the packaging,
Wow.
the marketing, like
all right.
the point of view and all that. And so we ended up, my wife and I,
in the hotel, like,
Yeah.
pour some tap water in there and close it up, and here you go.
yeah, they were like, oh, and I think I even asked, I'm like, hey, even if we don't have product just yet, is that okay? They're like, yeah, as long as you are making product. And at that time we were.
Okay.
Because we had some money, but it was a long process to actually get it.
Right.
And then my wife and I ended up going out to Prague for these award shows. And we end up winning best new brand in
That's
this
so
beverage
crazy,
award
man.
show. And then, so then it was like, now we had that under our belt. So it was like,
Okay.
look at all the social traction. We just won best new brand in Europe,
So let's get some.
Yeah,
more
you just keep kind of stacking the
best-
resume, right?
right.
And then we were able to kind of keep raising a little bit more money just to kind of help fund that first initial drop
Right.
of stuff. And then once we had physical product in hand, we got connected with a VC group here in LA called Science that were the ones who kind of were the main original backers of Dollar Shave Club, if you remember that.
Yeah, I remember that.
They were acquired back in 2016, I think, for $1 billion by Unilever. And they were just like a razor company selling razors on the internet, and they made really funny marketing.
Wow.
And again, same kind of thing. Like, how terrible are like shaving commercials for the last 30
Yeah.
years? Like, there's nothing cool about them.
Yeah.
So they kind of were this first brand with some personality and fun to sell razors, and they did really well. So they were interested in Liquid Death kind of being like, oh, you're kind of doing a similar thing in water, like this huge category where there's nothing cool, and you guys are doing something cool and interesting. And then once we got them on board, then it was like really off to the races. Then it was like they helped us figure out our website and launching like a, e-commerce website because they did Dollar Shave Club. And
Yeah, that's awesome.
and then it was just like, from then on, then it was just like, we started selling the first cases of product in late January 2019. And we only sold it from our website and Amazon at that time.
Wow.
And then it was like, it was always this thing, I feel like people thought it was fake. Like, no one believed it was real. Like, people were like, Liquid Death, oh, that's funny. That'd be funny if that was real. And it's like, then finally, when people actually had physical product and this like thing that seems like it shouldn't even exist, like who would make this, is
Right.
real, then it just like the shareability happened and everybody's talking about it, and it just then it was just like kind of the rocket ship sort of.
Yeah, for the listeners, it looks like a can of beer. So if you have this out in public, or if you're a kid in the car driving or somewhere, people think you have a beer in your hand. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
remember your son. We were going up down Runyon, and he was drinking.
Yeah,
a
people
can.
looking at him like,
And
why is
people
this?
like, yo, what's up with that young kid just drinking a beer in the middle of the day?
And then my neighbor's hub, who always like teased me about being straight edge and not being man enough and coming to the barbecues and drinking with them in the garage and everybody smoking and listening to music. I pulled up when I first got one of these and said, yo, I finally became a man. I have a beer with you guys. And one of the guys had a beer that looked almost similar to that, more with an M.
Modelo.
Modelo looks just like that. And they're like, oh my God. And I cracked it open. They're like, oh my God. And I was like, nah, it's water. Like, motherfucker. But I love that. I love that people think it's so trippy, man. We give them one and say, try this. Like, that's not a beer company. You know what I mean? It's like,
Well, the thinking, there's
Did you-
actually,
what's that in your?
yeah, there's some psychology behind it. So we learned in marketing that if you want teens to want something, you actually market it to people in their 20s.
Yes.
Because it's like, I want the thing I can't have. So like energy drinks, for example, with their bright colors and stuff, it's like they're marketing to like 16 and 17-year-olds. They don't think Monster is the coolest thing ever, but 12-year-olds do. You know what I mean? It's like, so we knew that, okay, if you're going to one up energy drinks, how do we make energy drinks actually seem like they're for kids? And it's like, oh, well, let's make it look like a thing that like legally you're not even supposed to be drinking.
Wow.
But also it was like, I always thought beer design was so cool.
I did too. I always thought
I like the lettering, the Old English and shit. Like
the lettering, all the cool craft
I
beers.
always thought the beer designs have always been interesting throughout time. And I remember at a time of collecting beer cans because of designs.
Really?
My brother, my brother and his friends had a crazy collection. I was like, I'm going to start mine. And it was like a big thing. I just remember when I was a kid and the designs. And I remember there was a Colt 45 can design that kind of reminded me of these colors of the Liquid Death a little bit.
Yeah.
But I just remember the Billy D ad, of course, and it's just like, every time, works every time.
Yeah, it works every time. Yeah.
And but they were fascinating. It was almost like stories. I don't know, kind of a way of like flags to me. I've always been fascinated with the backstory of countries' flags and things like that. But beer cans and old beer designs and how they changed it up, it's always been incredible.
I'm always like, why does beer get to own a look?
Right.
Yeah, it's like anything can look like this. Why does beer have to be the only thing that looks cool like this,
True.
And then getting these size cans, you said
the size, yes.
they're hard to get in America.
So what size
cans?
is this?
So this is the European 500 milliliter can. So it's 16.9 ounce US.
Yeah, what's that in US numbers?
Yeah. I've always thought, like, why doesn't the U.S. just go to the fucking metric system?
Back in our day, I know that Toby and I are a little bit older. They attempted this in school, and I remember specifically, like, okay, we're going to learn what the rest of the world uses as a measuring system. And that, it lasted for about a month or so, or actually a good year where they were really trying to push this in schools. And then they were just like, you know what? Fuck it.
Yeah.
Damn.
We don't care. You know what? We're not going to change. Actually, the problem becomes they're not going to change everything else here to that system. They're like, what's the point of you guys even learning it? So they stopped because there was a big thing to try to change. And they're like, wait, that would cost so much money to change everything around us into that system that the rest of the world uses. Forget about it. Let's go back to what we know.
Do you ever remember
lose out.
This? He's kind of like punk scene joke artist called Adam and His Package from Philadelphia.
No.
He was like this punk guy that made like program beats and things. He made these silly like songs where like one was called like Punk Rock High School, where he's singing about how he wants there to be a punk rock high school and the radio snow code is 666 and like,
wow.
But he had this whole thing where this whole like, I don't know what you would call it, like mission to like get the US to switch over to the metric system. And on his t-shirts, it was Adam and His Package. And on the back of the shirt for the metric system, it said, "Stick your foot up your fucking ass."
Oh my God.
That was super cool.
Awesome,
Yeah,
actually.
super
It's
cool.
hilarious.
So then picking the water, like how do you pick the water? Like, doesn't all water taste the same or not?
Yeah, what's your source?
Well, it's from Austria.
It's from Austria.
Österreich.
Australian Alps.
So what we found was when I was trying to figure out how to make the brand, there's no bottling places in North America that can put water in cans because it wasn't a category yet. And most of the water sources didn't have canning capabilities then. So I found this place in Austria that had their own, spring water sources, and they had the ability to put it in cans. And there wasn't many other people who could do it at the time.
Were there any other materials that you're thinking that you could put it in, like boxes? I mean, since it's biodegradable.
I was set on cans because I think, again, so much of this is not about, like, it's about the brand. Like, it's fun to walk around with this thing that looks like a beer. And, like, that's part of, like, even the psychology of why people are drinking more water. Like, LaCroix, for example, and all that flavored sparkling stuff. that lightly flavored sparkling had been around for years in plastic bottles before, and it never really took.
It's true.
But like once LaCroix put it in cans, I think psychologically it felt more like a soda replacement.
I see.
You know, you're holding a whole can. It's almost like you're tricking your brain into thinking it's something bad.
I think the whole market is interesting, the whole water market, because I know that I'm just trying to get our age difference here as far as from what I remember growing up, like I never imagined that people would be buying water. We came from that time period of
The tap water.
tap water. You know,
Yeah,
like I never
yeah.
imagined, like if somebody came to us, you know, from the futures, like you guys are going to be buying water and whatever
pretty true,
package,
actually.
we'd be laughing at them, be like,
Right.
why the hell would we be buying water? It's fucking free.
Right.
You know?
Right,
It's-
right.
Yeah.
And so when do you think that turnaround came about? And that had to do with advertising.
It did.
Absolutely, right?
Yeah.
Evian was one of the first brands that did it. And people thought it was the most asinine thing at the time. It was like, fancy water. And it became this thing that I think at the time it was more like a status symbol back then.
Madonna was a big pusher of that.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I remember
in her
that.
famous movie Truth or Dare, where she took the bottle and put it in her mouth and deep throated the bottle of Evian. Just for listeners. I'm just saying that was like a big thing with the Evian bottle. Like that was like.
I mean, that wouldn't be my selling point. Like, oh, she just.
No, I'm just saying,
like
but,
deep-throating
but
like an
Madonna
Evian
became a
bottle.
big person for Evian after her Truth or Dare movie.
That would definitely help.
Yeah. Anyway,
promote sales.
but Evian tastes. I never liked the taste of Evian, and because I love Madonna so much, I tried. I was like, nah, I'm not really into this.
Yeah, why do those? It's a totally different question again. A lot of those waters have this weird, funky taste to it. So what's up with that?
So they say, yeah, what's up with that? They say that, like,
Come on, Strychnine,
He-
tell
he's
us what's
like-
up with
he's
that.
the god of water. It's all the answers.
I know
to it.
way more about water.
I'm
than I ever
sure
thought
you
I
had to
would know
do the
about water.
research.
But it's actually, so all the other water that's in plastic bottles, the biggest thing, it's the same thing with beer too. The biggest thing that affects the taste is light and air.
Thank you for saying this.
Yeah. It's like when light is hitting this water in a plastic bottle, it's getting warm, whatever, like it's actually affecting the taste of it.
Gotcha.
So why do you think that there are beer companies that create beers in clear bottles, thinking that?
It's a good point.
I mean, just because it's different, right?
Yeah, it's a marketing thing. It's like
But they don't
looking at
realize
that
it's
Corona bottle,
kill-
you can see the yellows and
always
gold
say
I
that.
beer.
always thought it was disgusting because it was killing the flavor of the beer, and the fact that the light was affecting it. And there's a reason why those bottles are dark that they are, so it's not.
Well, the thing is, like, our brains are wired in such a weird way where it's like taste is not actually the reason anybody buys or does anything.
Right.
You know, it's like Corona. It's, you know, if you blind taste tested 10 different beers, like someone who loves Corona might not even pick out Corona. They might pick out something else.
agree.
It's all just like the emotional perception of the beach and where you've drank it before.
Unless you were German or Czech, you would be like, "This is bullshit."
Yeah.
They're drinking. You're like, I can
Yeah.
tell this is not good beer.
Right. Yeah.
Sorry to diss Corona and all those clear bottled alcoholic beverages, but I just always thought it was hilarious. Like they don't care about
Right. Yeah,
taste,
it's
like you were
it's just like they know that like the visual presentation and tying it to the brand thing of like the beach and all of that, like that's more why people are buying it.
Absolutely.
Not because it tastes so much better than every other beer, you know.
Oh my god,
It's crazy.
And so
Well,
where do you-
it's like those ads, you've seen them a million times over the years where it's like they have people come into a fancy restaurant and they're eating this pizza on a fancy platter.
Right.
And like, did you know that that's Pizza Hut? No.
like, that's DiGiorno.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Yeah. But
From Cleveland. That's right.
But like your brain probably does think it tastes so good because you're in a fancy place. It's the environment. Like all these things affect your brain and how it perceives things, you know?
This is so true. It's definitely, the advertising is super powerful. You know?
We had a guy tell us he stopped drinking alcohol and he drinks Liquid Death Sparkling now. And because to him it looks and feels so much like a beer, he actually says, I feel like it tastes like beer when I'm drinking it.
Interesting.
Wow.
And I also heard people talk about they like it because they can be at a party where everyone's drinking and everything and kind of fit in. Because I found out, like, when people find out you're not drinking, they're always pushing it on you. Like, yo, don't you want to drink? It's like, I told you about 2 hours ago I don't drink. You know? Or it's like, I'm not feeling, oh, what's wrong? You know, do you have a problem? I didn't know.
Thing,
and it's like, no, I just don't want to drink, you know. But with the Liquid Death, they said that they felt, you know, people were less inclined to offer them tons of drinks and things like that, or alcohol, and they fit in.
And if somebody's buzzed, they might think you're holding a beer anyway if you have it in your hand. Oh, he already has a beer.
Yeah.
But I love a Liquid Death. It's not just the packaging. It tastes great, too. I don't know if it's a combination between the water's great and it's in a can, and these things cold are amazing, but it actually tastes good. So you can have a great product looking and image, but then also it's got to be good as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that it's from a freezing cold can, I think, is a big part of it.
So good.
Plastic, it's breaking down. And so you're getting those elements inside water and plastic bottles.
And just like plastic isn't as cold to the touch as a can. Like there's something sensory about a freezing cold can. It's almost like hard to hold. It's so cold and you're drinking from.
Yeah.
It's very true too, you know.
There's a lot of things involved in this. I'm learning about. It's not just the water and the brandy. You know what I mean? Also, it's almost like a street brand too, with the merchandise and everything too. It's like it's more than just a water company.
Yeah, and I think the way that I like to market Liquid Death or think about Liquid Death is I think about it like a band. You know, like a band. Their primary product is making great music, but that doesn't mean they don't have the right to sell T-shirts. It doesn't mean they don't have the right to get paid money to play it live, you know, or whatever. So
I threw a live stream. Yeah. Garage, it was awesome. Thank you.
And it all works together.
Yeah.
Right.
I see your point.
When you wear the shirt of the band, you now have more of an emotional connection to the brand, you know, to the band and the music.
And when you discover something that's you feel is great, you want to
broadcast
spread the word.
it.
Yeah.
Right.
It just becomes something very natural. Like, yo, guess what I had the other day?
Has the name gave you trouble about getting into certain places because the name says Liquid Death, the word death in it?
Oh, big time.
I'm sure.
Yeah, like that. Originally, we knew that no retailer was going to put this on the shelf. So we started. I love that you knew that and still pushed it and believed in it. I love that. Well, because before we launched it, like a lot of thought goes into this, and like you know, I had advisors who invested who were some of the smartest people in marketing that have done crazy game-changing stuff, like brainstorming with them about how should we launch. And our strategy from the beginning was, to your point, because it fits so well in like a party environment, like a bar, club, whatever, let's start there. So we could easily convince a bar to carry Liquid Death.
Absolutely.
So we just focused on bars at first. And that would just kind of, bars are like crowded places where people will see this and be like, oh, what's that?
Right.
Oh, it's this thing. You know, it'll just help get the word out. And then once that the plan was like, once we're in shitloads of bars and everybody's talking about it, then the retailer might be more willing to take you in because they believe they're actually going to make money off you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because money changes everybody's religion, essentially.
Right.
It's such a super grassroots DIY approach too.
Yeah.
Which I love.
Yeah. And it kind of has to be, because I think a lot of people who want to be entrepreneurs, they're under this like impression that I'm just going to come up with an idea, pitch it to somebody, and they're going to give me all the money in the world to go big out of the gate. And it's just like that doesn't happen. It's like people are very protective of their money.
Absolutely.
And they want you to de-risk it as much as possible.
Right.
What can you show me that makes me feel like I'm not just going to piss this away? So it's like, oh, well, we've got this many followers and we have distributors reaching out, and all these bars who said they never even sold bottled water before are moving 5 cases a week.
Yeah.
Now it's like, oh, okay, I feel a little bit better about writing you a check. You know?
Yeah. And what's the place you got Liquid Death into that you're shocked that they took it?
Our first major retail account was Whole Foods. And they were the first one. Nobody else really wanted to touch it. And it's not like Whole Foods is some heavy metal company.
Yeah.
You know? They're very conservative.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
But I think Whole Foods, they like to be on the forefront of cool new brands and things, you know? It's like a place where people discover new products, you know?
Yeah.
You don't necessarily go to Ralph's, hey, what new thing can I find here? You kind of have a list and you're like in and out of it. Whole Foods is a little bit more exploratory, where people are finding new cool things.
Absolutely.
So they were definitely into our sustainability kind of message because that's big for them.
And so what do you, is there anything that you do about sustainability or how you're involved in any type of programs of sustainability? Is there something going on with you guys?
Yeah. So like if on our can, we have this mission that we call Death to Plastic.
Okay.
And then it's like we donate 10% of the profits from every can sold to help kill plastic pollution. So basically we work right now with 3 different nonprofits that we take a portion of the profits and we give them to. One's called Five Gyres. They help basically fight plastic and cleaning the ocean and plastic legislation and things like that.
That's awesome.
We work with this other company. They're not plastic based, but they're called Thirst Project. And they basically drill clean drinking water wells in Africa and all these places where there's not clean water.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then the one we just started working with is called Pangea Seed. And they basically, they're interesting. Like they use art to basically help educate people about environmental issues. So like they commission these rad murals in all these towns all over the world about like the ocean and plastic and these cool messages. Cause they believe like if you can involve art around the thing, it makes people start to care more about sort of thing, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah. And everybody who bought a ticket to the H2O live stream, $1 went to the Thirst Project for every ticket.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So thank you everybody who did that.
So this live stream, if people haven't heard it, so you did a live stream with H2O, and this was the first time.
First one.
First big project involved with a musician or band or I mean.
Yeah,
music?
like a custom project like that. Yeah, for sure.
And do you have anything for the future that you plan on doing with different artists or collaborations? Yeah,
we want to do more for sure. And I think our approach to the H2O one is, there was a lot of bands doing live streams during the pandemic. Mm-hmm. And I watched a couple, we sponsored one for the Bronx, which was awesome.
Nice.
We sponsored Guars. And I watched them and they're great. They're fantastic. But I think the thing that hit me was it's really hard to sit and watch a full set of music with no breaks on a screen.
Right.
Because it's not live.
Right.
It is different.
There's no audience but you. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just your brain starts to wander after, So when we did one, I was I want to make it more like a concert film, like bands have been releasing. Doc. Yeah. Bands have been doing DVDs for years where they're little docs where it's intercut live performance with, doc stuff.
Yeah.
So we're we want to do that kind of approach because then it's you're fully engaged for 45 minutes or an hour and you're not wandering.
Right. Totally makes sense.
And then, I think plus, as the pandemic is going to end in the near future, it might be 90 days, things are starting to go back.
Right.
Kind of normal. Man. So
90 days. It's crazy.
I know. I mean,
it's going fast.
Yeah. The vaccines, my wife's going to get the vaccine, I think on Thursday.
Yeah. Shout out to your wife too, who edited the thing. I mean, she did an incredible job.
Oh, thank you. She'll
incredible job
on
that.
Yeah.
Carly, my wife, has edited almost all the Liquid Death videos.
She's a secret weapon.
Yeah, she is a secret weapon.
But yeah, she killed it. I'm so happy with it. My band was so happy. The response on that was so great. People said it was like a 90s VHS throwback vibe. Thank you for being part of it too, Derek.
Thanks for having me.
That was fun. I mean, when you see the product
fun.
too, you don't know when you're in there recording because it's kind of awkward playing to nobody. You know what I mean? Then
that is weird, huh?
Just it's so uncomfortably weird. But then the footage in this kitchen, us hanging out, all that other stuff, it just made it go by fast, and it was just fun, I guess, It
was smooth.
Yeah.
Smooth sailing.
So yeah, she did a great job.
And I think what's cool about those is even when COVID's over, it still makes sense for us to keep making these because they're just interesting to watch.
Absolutely. I think you're right. And a lot of times, people who are overseas internationally would enjoy this.
Yeah,
it's a great way to connect to them.
Right.
Because we're opening up probably faster than Europe's going to be opening up, so still people can't see shows over there. You know what I mean?
You're right.
Unfortunately, it's
yeah.
Things are still in lockdown over there, and so people still want to see live, especially in Europe. All the festivals being canceled and everything.
Yeah,
so
I know, man.
those live things are important, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I want to say that we kind of with Liquid Death created kind of a new kind of blueprint that I think bands maybe might approach is that mini doc vibe. Mm-hmm. I think it's interviews in between. I think it's
And I think what we can hopefully, like the way we can add value is like, luckily with Liquid Death, the one thing we are good at is the creative side of things. Like we have great editors, we have access to amazing people who can shoot stuff.
Shout out to Ben too. Shout out, yes.
Yeah, Ben's great. I think like we can make something that if the band just wanted to make it on its own, it would probably cost them a lot of money to go source the same people.
Totally.
You know?
Right.
And it's like, if we have all these resources and we can help bring it to the table and, you know, the band basically doesn't have to take any risk and can just be the band and do something. It just it makes it an easier decision. Cause you know, Blasco, who works with us, some of his bands, it's like, you know, a band might have to spend 25 grand on production to make one of these things. It's a risk. You're hoping you sell enough tickets to make that money back, and maybe you will, but maybe not. So it's like, it just becomes a more stressful thing for a band to try to take it on themselves, where it's like
pushing it and telling people, hope it's going to do good.
Yeah. It's like, if we can kind of help use our platform and our resources to do cool stuff for bands, like that's always been, I mean, I always wanted music to be at the core of Liquid Death. And the reason it works for us is like, as much as I love skateboarding and action sports, Monster and Red Bull and all those guys, they own that. Like these guys can't make money any other way other than sponsorships. You can't just go ride a skateboard in the street and people throw money at you.
Right.
So you rely on sponsorship. So as much as they would love to rock Liquid Death, they can't necessarily walk away from like their only paycheck.
Gotcha.
So, and I understand that. Music is different. Music makes money selling merch and records and touring and doing that. So they can be selective about the brands they want to work with.
Totally.
Like you'd never see a band where every member in the band is decked head to toe in Red Bull gear.
It's close with that with Monster though. I mean, I'm
like kind of,
wow.
yeah.
I've seen that more for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because they sponsor
why
big
are we
tours.
wearing that?
They sponsor tours and stuff, right?
Yeah,
They
they'll wear like the Monster wristband sometimes,
Or a hat.
but you'll never, or a hat,
right.
but you'll never, like athletes, they're head to toe. You know what I mean?
True.
Because like,
Oh, yeah,
if you're
yeah.
sponsored
Oh,
by
yeah.
Nike, you're head to toe in Nike.
But yeah, that's a crazy paycheck.
Crazy paycheck, right?
Yeah.
So we're always like, music, we can actually compete because we are cooler than that. There's not many people who are like,
Right.
oh yeah, we want to support Red Bull and like nobody's saying that.
Right.
It's like, hey, they'll give us money and we're gonna take it because we got to live.
But you
too.
have a very good point there. I mean, a lot of artists don't want to support something that they don't truly believe in.
Right?
And,
Totally.
And so I think this is something that you guys are doing, that bands feel good to have that collaboration with something that's cool.
Right.
Especially when they hear the story on this podcast. But how he came up and the whole entire thing. It's an incredible story, man.
And then
Absolutely.
when the pandemic happened and all the bands were, you know, like every tour was canceled, like and in today's music industry with Spotify, like touring is the only way you make money as a musician,
Totally.
right?
It's always been pretty much.
Yeah.
Merch, yeah.
So we were like, what can we do to try to help all these? Because we had just started doing lots of stuff with bands and like, okay, how can, because we were lucky during the pandemic, our sales went through the roof because people couldn't go to the store. So ordering water from the internet was like a lot easier, and people wanted water because people were more health conscious.
People were stocking up on water for that.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Oh yeah, because of the apocalypse.
The apocalypse.
Yeah.
The end times are here.
We had so much water. I remember that. Yeah.
Like oh my God, yeah. People were going crazy.
They were going crazy.
Yeah.
So we were like, okay, well, we're doing great. How could we help all our friends and bands and things? So we started this thing called Death Peddlers, where we let all of our bands and then their friends who are in bands sign up in this program, and they get their own custom code so they could use their social followings, which they still had, and say, hey, use this code on liquiddeath.com. And basically any one of their fans that used their code, we gave them like half of the profits from all the shit they sold.
Man. That's
Did
fucking
not know
awesome.
that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and so like, you know, Converge was doing it, and you know, some of our, you know, all the, you know, Bomb Pops were doing it, and then it started spreading, and people were doing it.
That's
and it's like,
awesome.
you know, we're not some massive drop in the bucket for them. It's small, but it's still something that like kind of helps them.
Oh, that's great.
It's so nice to be like working at a water company, even though you're a musician as well, and giving back to musicians. It's awesome, man.
Yeah,
That's really cool.
we did a thing at Whole Foods too, where it was like for a whole month we said, any of the water we sell at Whole Foods, 50% of the profits are going to our Death Peddler bands.
Oh, wow.
So then bands were like telling people like go into Whole Foods,
Yeah, go
like they
buy
were
it.
helping. Yeah,
It sells out fast in Whole Foods, right?
it does. Yeah. Because Whole Foods, they don't keep back stock.
Is that something new during the pandemic or something always
I
done?
think it was something. Yeah, it's like a lot of these stores, like they have so many products, like they just don't have the space to try to keep. So really, the only stuff that's on the shelf is what's there. So when you're a new brand like us, the only way you get reordered is if like the kid going around the store checking inventory has Liquid Death top of mind, but he's got 10,000 other things he's trying to worry about. So until you're like a big brand that's selling a ton, you're not really on their let's check this everyday radar. Right.
Wow.
But yeah.
So for now, Liquid Death is available in America and any other countries? Or is there
not internationally yet? We're about to open up merch internationally.
Sick.
Okay.
Which will be cool because we have tons of people who are like,
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I know when we put the posters up, people are like, oh my God, we'll get the posters. But yeah, that's cool to do that. So they have to order online to get it shipped internationally?
Yeah, they can order from our site and then, we'll start shipping, T-shirts, hoodies and stuff.
But no water gets shipped to Germany from U.S.?
No, because it's too expensive. Just shipping one case, I think, is like $100 from here.
Wow.
But since it's being manufactured
I was going to ask you
in
that.
Austria.
Would you ever have it made over there?
Yeah, we're looking into doing that soon. The problem is if you're selling stuff in Europe, now you have to comply with all the European labeling things. You got to have all the languages on here. All the things have to change. You have to make totally separate cans just for them and inventory it somewhere separate. So it's definitely a big undertaking. And like, we have so much to just focus on here that it's kind of like,
time, it'll come.
Yeah,
it'll
it's just
happen.
like we're really careful about.
It's still pretty new, man. 2019. It's still pretty
It's
just over
new.
2
Yeah,
years.
I didn't realize.
Yeah, he's done so much in 2 years.
Yeah.
Apparently, I mean, we've been talking and doing research and, talking to other kind of beverage investment bankers and things that know the industry. And basically, as of now, we're one of the top 1 or 2 fastest growing beverage brands of all time at year 2. Most brands, beverage is like notoriously a category that takes a long time to develop. Like Red Bull, most people don't know, it launched in 1988. Like
I don't even know that.
it didn't even get on America's radar until like I think 99 or 2000, somewhere
Holy
around there.
crap.
Like they were already doing, I think, $400 million a year in Europe before they ever even started selling in the
Yeah,
US.
they were massive. I realized that from touring and going to these really bizarre or very unique places, exotic places, and they had Red Bull in their language. I was like, whoa.
Right.
Crazy bottles, great designs, and it's like in Thailand or stuff like that. I was like, wow, they have Red Bull here, and I was impressed.
I never tried a Red Bull ever, man. Never tried any. I never tried it.
I don't like it.
My bass player would do it right before he went on stage.
But we talked about this before off the cast, and we're talking about why are those crazy tastes that I was like, why would it be so appealing? Not to get down on Red Bull, but just it was interesting the psychology behind why does it taste like medicine?
And they wanted it to taste like medicine because they wanted people to think this was going to have like a real effect on you. Because essentially all energy drinks really did was rebrand soda. Like Mountain Dew and this stuff had tons of caffeine too for years, but it was really just like they basically found a way to rebrand soda, and they wanted it to kind of become like a dare, like, oh, I'm going to drink this thing and something's going to happen. And they just knew that if it tasted too good, you wouldn't believe that it's actually doing anything. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Why? Because those are carbonated too, Monster?
Yeah, they're carbonated.
I never had a Monster.
They're all
before.
Definitely
carbonated.
carbonated.
But Red Bull is too, right?
What happened?
Red Bull's carbonated too?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, man.
Yeah.
So what's the ultimate goal for Liquid Death as far as more things that's outside of the norm for a water brand? I know we're doing live streams, merchandise, maybe get involved in some tours when that starts happening, right? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I think
it would be great. Sorry, it'd be great to go to a venue instead of plastic bottles. We get these for stage, crack these open on stage. Like, it'd be so cool.
Yeah, and most venues, like
absolutely.
a lot of venues, like the big guys like Live Nation, and I think even AEG and these guys, like they're all looking to get rid of plastic from their venues.
I hope
Totally,
so.
yeah.
Everybody's kind of. I mean, I think Canada, Justin Trudeau passed a thing saying that they're going to be single-use plastic free by like 2025.
Oh, that's
Wow,
great.
it's really, really
Yeah,
fast.
you would think that they should take that consideration in hand, especially the fact that they're running so many events, not to mention, big ass sports events and things like that, where they're actually having more options of plant-based food. And they're
Totally.
also talking about having, like you said, biodegradable stuff there, because it's a tremendous amount of trash after a football game, basketball game,
Concert,
game,
everything.
concert,
Yeah.
all that trash at the end of the show, you're stomping through,
Kicking
at the end, kicking
everything. Yeah,
everything
man.
at the end of a show, you're stepping over all this stuff. I'm like, oh my God. And it doesn't really have to be that way. I mean, if they had, all these like things they would think about ahead of time, then they could avoid all this trash that's left over.
And what most people don't realize, and it's the thing that we usually explain most, is like plastic is not actually recyclable.
Right.
It's all bullshit.
Yes.
Basically, there were all these lobbyists in the late 70s when plastic bottles became more popular, and they were already starting to get some like negative press around.
I'm glad
this shit is terrible.
'cause a lot of people don't know this.
Yeah, it's like this stuff is terrible. So the plastic industry had to figure something out. So they said, oh no, like we're going to recycle it. But really all that happened was plastic at that time, you would put it in a recycling bin. It goes to a recycling facility. They would then ship it by the truckload to go on a big boat
Yeah.
that would go to China and these third world countries and drop it off, because in theory, they were going to use, because plastic, it can't actually be recycled into new bottles. If you do, you grind it up, it's too low quality to make new bottles with. So what they do is they use it to make like cheap textiles, like carpets and clothing, like anything that's like a polyester, that's plastic.
Yeah.
So that's in theory what was happening in China. But then China eventually was like, we can't even use this shit.
Use it because it's all contaminated.
Yeah, it's contaminated. And then I think they were even just like dumping truckloads of it in the ocean just because like, we're not taking it.
Yeah. Creating like an entire like island of just trash plastic. But a lot of people don't realize that the plastic you're throwing away to be recycled is already contaminated, especially when it's been in food, and a lot of people aren't washing their plastics off. So it's ruined.
Well, the other thing, it's like recycling facilities, in order to be viable, they have to make a profit. And plastic is not profitable. You send plastic to a recycling facility, the recycling facility will not recycle it. They have to send it to a landfill, because if they tried to recycle it, they'd go out of business.
Right.
Because they spend all this money processing it.
Wow.
And then once you have the final ground up plastic, they in theory have to be able to sell that ground up plastic for more than it costs them to process it. And nobody wants to buy the ground up plastic because it's cheaper to buy new plastic.
Wow, man.
So they're like,
that.
so there's these environmental economists are actually saying that it is better for the environment technically to throw your plastic in the trash because it takes less trucking to get it to the landfill. Which is
the
crazy.
landfill's already a disaster in itself, waiting to bite everybody in the ass.
Oh yeah.
So
we don't have to go into.
So cans are a huge difference for the
So
environment.
the reason metal is basically the only thing that actually gets recycled. Even glass doesn't really get recycled because it's not profitable to recycle glass. Because glass, you break it down, it just basically becomes sand.
Yeah.
How much can you sell sand for?
Yeah.
Not a lot. So metal, they just melt it down and they make metal bricks of it, and they sell the metal bricks to aluminum manufacturers who then use it to make sheets that make cans. So it's like this can is made from about like almost 80% recycled aluminum in this can.
Holy shit.
But in a plastic bottle, less than 3% actually comes from like recycled plastic.
Wow.
So it's like aluminum is profitable and sustainable from like an economics perspective. Like they keep recycling facilities in business, and that's why they'll continue to recycle it, because you can keep recycling it over and over and over and over again.
That's amazing.
I was totally out of the recycling game at a young age when I used to go around collecting as a kid. Like, I'm going to get some money. Let's do it, man. Collecting like trash bags of just cans, around the neighborhood and taking it there. And I was just so disappointed. They're like, here you go, buddy. It's just like $1.50.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a lot back then, though.
I was like, even then, I was like, damn.
Yeah.
I was like, all that work and sweat, all those cans, and that's it. It was like $5 or $7 or something. I was just like, okay, all right.
I think moving forward from a pandemic, which I think like how Mother Nature kind of like put us in check and give us a timeout, and like how the rivers and the lakes were becoming more colorful, the fish were coming back, like all the animals were coming out during the pandemic, and the earth was kind of healing itself. I think moving forward, it's a perfect time to go back to touring and playing music where we swap out the plastic for cans.
Yeah.
It's the best time to come back from pandemic with that, And
I think it's great that there's companies that think about this, sustainability. I think that's the future. I think it's something that's important that, you have to think about, people have to think about, and especially big companies or smaller companies that are coming up, when they have that in mind, the consumer is becoming more aware. I want to believe that because the information is out there of a lot of things that we've been talking about. And I think it's important for the consumer to believe in a product, feeling that it's not out there destroying the planet or it's doing something for the planet, because we're all connected, and in the sense where, if you're a consumer and you're a producer, there is a connection, and there is a connection that we all have with the planet. So we want to buy things that aren't harming us.
Right.
And
I think the other thing it's important for creating real change is most of the people trying to do change are like the eco warriors who are preaching to the choir.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Absolutely. Like there's only a few people that you're going to get to carry around a reusable water bottle and never drink packaged beverages again.
Yeah.
But all the people across all the country who don't care as much or aren't as eco warrior as you, how do you get them to buy into something that is part of the solution?
Point. Yeah.
And I think like that's been my thing with this was like, I want to make health and sustainability not feel preachy, even though we're a health brand, we don't say alcohol is bad, drugs are bad. Like, cause the reality is like, there's gray area everywhere.
Right.
And it's like, hey, if you're going to do drugs, fine, maybe have a water, stay hydrated, hey, if you're going to go rip shots of tequila at the bar, maybe chill with a water for an hour, then have another, So I think it's like, too much of culture is like all or nothing. And it's like, I think reality is everything's gray. And it's like, if more people could just drink a couple more waters a day, you're in a much better place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Then
have you become more environmentally conscious since you started the brand? Like, did you? Know what I mean?
I mean, I think I've always been. I mean, I was way more hardcore as like a high school
propaganda days.
Days,
Came full circle though.
Yeah, no, it did, and I think the other big thing was like, I think we talked about this like offline, but every cool thing you want to do requires money. That's just reality.
Yeah.
Whether you want to tour, whether you want to start a record label, whether you want to do anything cool, it costs money. And most of the time, the money people in the world are not creative people. And it's like the creative people have to go with their hand out to the money people who ultimately will then control what the creative thing is, and they end up killing it or doing whatever. So it was like this idea of like, if people like us can figure out how to create massively successful things, and then we have the money, then we can fund cool creative things and start to actually change things out in the world rather than just this continuous thing of like bankers are the ones who decide what gets the money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Excellent.
I mean, shit. Wow. I think we covered a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think we covered your whole. Anything else we should talk? I mean, I was going to bring up something, we could cut it out, but it's just that story you told me about. But if we talk about it, give it too much energy about the troll, but it's just not. We don't even talk about it. That story about the troll, it's not worth it.
We can talk about it. I think
now you got me interested.
I feel like it's important
because we're giving him credit, but it's such an insane story. Like
you're giving a troll credit. It's about a troll.
Well, I think it's so important the time we live in right now, like the power of the internet.
Okay, let's talk about. I want to know now. I want to know. You brought it up.
It's the most crazy story. I told my wife. My wife couldn't believe it. It's fucking.
So everything going on now. I mean, cancel culture, like the internet can gang up, can do something. So in the early days of Liquid Death, when we first launched, like we had no product. We did.
Thanks for telling the story, Mike.
Yeah, we did the video. We got all the followers. We're getting all this attention. And then there's this guy that came on our Facebook page and was like, how dare you name water liquid death? There's people that are dying in Flint, Michigan. So your brand is exploiting black people.
Wow. Hello.
Whoa. And we were like, wait a second. Like, no, like we're trying to make water fun and we're making a joke. Like this is all about sustainability and making something healthy, more fun to drink other places. And all these people, the internet, started defending liquid death to the troll, but not in a nice way. Like they're like, you're full of shit. Like, people were just
crazy on him. Yeah.
They went crazy on him. So then he flipped out. And I was working for an agency at the time. This guy ended up looking me up, found out I worked at this agency. He found out who the agency's clients were in Detroit, emailed the clients and threatened that he was going to stage a protest outside because they worked with an agency that supported this brand that's trying to like exploit like terrible shit. So they all of a sudden call the head of this huge agency. What the fuck is this phone call or this email we just got about? And then they flipped out and they're like, Mike, you need to take this down. Like, and I'm like, this is insane. So
one person, man.
One person.
God, this guy has too much time on his hands.
Totally.
So then I look up this guy and his name is... And... there's a whole website on him now where he has like kind of scammed all these people and threatened these things that he's never going to do. Like he's like, I'm involved with millionaires who can do this, and this, and it's all bullshit.
God.
And he like basically extorted all these companies and people. And I think like someone involved with Guns N' Roses or something, like even like these music and bands, like he was trying to basically extort into doing what he wanted them to do.
So it's just one person.
One person. And they posted how he had restraining orders on him against him from women. Like this whole thing. And it was just like this, I think it's a signal of something that's going on in culture now where people are so afraid of anyone on the internet saying anything bad.
You're absolutely right. And it's something that's really disturbing, and it's been happening a lot more than ever.
Totally.
And it just definitely needs to be called out because it's happening. I've heard similar stories, but about people just sort of taking advantage of that and just using in their way to get shit also, get over on people.
Yeah. And it's like, there's no way to verify anything. Like, how do you know that this isn't just some guy in a basement that can write an email to anybody he wants and say anything he wants? There's no way they're going to check it. They're just going to err on the side of, we don't like, everyone's just so afraid of like the backlash of the internet now or being canceled or whatever, that it's like everybody's walking on eggshells and to the point where it's like, people are like watering down everything they put out because they can't take any risks. And like, it's just creating this thing just of like tippy toe. And yeah, it's just a
so that didn't affect
world.
That one troll tried to sabotage everything. It didn't work. Obviously you looked him up. It
didn't work.
A bunch of people.
Yeah. And it's like,
and
then, we put out, it was like earlier last year, we put out the Liquid Death Greatest Hates album, which was, a brand like Liquid Death. Of course, we're a polarizing thing. There's certain people who think this is the dumbest thing ever. Like, why would you ever put a skull on water? Or you guys are satanic and you're ruining society. It's like there's always going to be those people on the internet.
It's a drink of the devil.
Yeah, it's a drink of the
devil.
Satan. So I wanted to make a point that like most companies are so terrified of even one negative comment and they have a whole meeting about the negative comment. And I wanted to make a point that like, who cares what people like? It's the internet. Like if you've got lots of people who think you're the greatest thing ever and understand the positivity of what you're doing, those 3 people don't speak for everybody.
No,
they
man.
don't.
And why should they?
No.
So we thought of like, okay, how do you deflate that? let's celebrate that. So we made a whole metal album where all the lyrics to the album are verbatim hate comments from our social pages.
It's almost like mean tweets, like Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah, it's like mean tweets in metal album form.
That's incredible.
And it's like, and everybody loved it. It's one of the most successful things we've done. And then we started doing ads on social where it's our product. And then we grab like a negative comment from someone next to it where it's like, you know, save your sales pitch for Satan worshipers. Like, you know, and like we put that next to it. And then we put people love us on the internet. And people
That's
just
amazing.
love that. Like, I feel like it galvanizes people. And the little hashtag that we use on the campaign is proudly not for everyone. And, you know, I think we started getting DMs from people who I didn't even think about it, but you know, people were being like, we love that you're putting out the message of proudly not for everyone. Like, how many people are afraid to even express themselves now because if they get one negative comment, they're like, oh, I got to take the post down.
Right.
Yeah.
Someone doesn't like it.
But people need to also think where these negative comments are coming from.
Yeah,
like, who is the source
behind
of
it?
this negative
Exactly,
comment?
man.
Yeah,
Like-
when you find out, it's like, oh, it's his Herb, you know, in the basement.
Oh, his parents' house,
Yeah,
and
his
it's
parents'
like
house.
he's
It's
40
just
years
like,
old, still lives at home.
What
and
does
he's,
his opinion matter? It's just
it's such hate from people that like have so much time
no
in their hands, man.
significance and too much time on their hand.
Even if they're not a hermit and there's someone that's like your friend, just because they don't like it, who gives a fuck?
Right.
know.
You know,
Yeah,
it's like,
it's like, all
you're
right.
not supposed to like everything.
You're not supposed to. Yeah, we're not supposed to. Did you say herb or hermit?
Herb.
Okay, that's in New York. That's like New York slang for like a dork. You said hermit. Hermit's good too, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like this such faceless keyboard cowards. They call them cowboys, whatever. I don't know. It's just,
Coward.
It's just
Yeah.
like never before, like, did people have, like, especially kids now. I can't imagine
Yeah.
what it's like growing up in high school now
Man.
with
I
the
know.
Power
internet.
behind the keyboard.
people used to get bullied at school. Now they get bullied on their phones like 24/7 while they're
Yes.
home. You can't escape anything, man. That's
You
what's
watched
scary.
that movie, the Social Dilemma? It's like
Insane, dude.
teen suicide way up ever since social media started. Like, it's a crazy thing. And I think like more people need to figure out how to like disarm the power of the internet somehow. Like, how do you just start making people care less about the internet's opinions and things like that? I don't know what the answer is.
It's such a positive too when you're promoting good things and trying to
Yeah.
promote a brand or your music or something you're working on. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I try not to follow anybody I don't follow anybody that's negative, but you know, it's just like surrounding yourself in real life with inspiring, uplifting
Yes.
people. Same thing
Real
on the
life.
internet. You know what I mean?
Inspiring
Like,
yourself in real life.
yeah.
Yeah.
And just like, because you can get down like a dark rabbit hole in there. Like, there'd be 1,000 comments that are
Oh,
all
yeah.
positive, and the one that's negative, and you're like,
Yeah.
like who cares? Like, it's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
it's a
gotta
private
go with-
account, no picture in the profile.
Right.
It's like,
of course it's going to be that cowardly.
the best when you actually respond to somebody and they're like, oh my God, you responded. I'm sorry, I'm a fan. I just want to say hi. Like, really? That's how you say hi to somebody? Talk shit.
Yeah.
Because that once you give them the attention, they win. That's what
Yes.
they want. You know, like,
Totally.
And that's what we try to do. Like, when we hear negative comments, like, we give really funny responses to them on social. And we've had people that like, we've literally turned 180 where it's like, they're saying something about our brand and we give back some like logic or something funny. And then they're like, okay, you got me. Like, you know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's just like, but even then, like, brands are too afraid to even like
Right.
be honest about things with people. And I think, yeah, it's just like the more people just realize that the internet is just people. And it's like, you don't know why someone leaves a bad comment. Like, maybe they're having a shitty day and they're
Totally.
just fucking lonely, or like,
Totally.
they're just like, I have so much anger. Like, it's so easy for me to just push some keys and feel like I have a voice on something, but they didn't really think it through.
Absolutely.
You know,
but,
it's like-
but then you can turn when they're malicious, like what happened to you, and they go after
Yeah.
you where you work. That's a different story.
That's a different
That's
story. Yeah.
That's just attacking somebody for no reason. Like, you don't even know the person.
It's got problems.
Yeah. It's,
Yeah.
it's
Serious
bigger
issues.
problems.
Yeah. Well, wow. Well, shit. Well, fuck, man. I appreciate you
That's-
being here. We talked about everything, right? We covered a lot.
A lot of stuff.
Any
Yeah,
more
it was-
questions, Derek? Or no?
No, I think that covers it for me. Huh?
Yeah.
was a
Well,
good story,
obviously,
though.
you know, I love the brand. I love the water, and it was so honored to have H2O and Liquid Death do the stream as the first one, and then meeting you, becoming friends with you, and knowing your story and the grassroots DIY. That's why I love it so much. I don't really fuck with a lot of brands. I never tried Monster or Red Bull. I'm a water guy, obviously.
Right.
And I just love the whole package of it. I love everything about it, man. I'm super stoked for you.
Thanks,
and the
man.
future
Yeah.
of Liquid Death, you know?
Yeah. I mean, all I wanted to do with this brand was like, I wasn't trying to make $1 million brand. I was just like, I want to make something that would make my friends laugh. I think it's cool,
Yeah.
you know, like,
Yeah.
and if you just I don't know, you focus on small things like that. When it comes to, like, if you want to make your own thing, like, don't try to I'm going to make the next big thing. No, just like make something that you think your friend would like. And most likely there's going to be a million other people who like it.
Yeah, it's something you believe in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Are you surprised how far it came in such a short period of time?
Oh yeah. I never thought. Yeah.
Just making that video, man. It's crazy. And that's kicked it off.
So there's I guess it's a mascot for Liquid Death.
Oh yeah.
Does he have a name?
We call him the Thirst Murderer or the Thirst Executioner.
I know where Derek's going with this.
The Thirsticutioner?
Yeah, that's good.
We're going to go on record. If that ever becomes a cartoon, Derek wants first dibs at his voice.
But you made a good point by saying that he has no mouth.
Oh, no voice.
And I think that's kind of... Well, he does have a...
I don't even think he makes a noise, actually.
Okay.
Well, when Liquid Death becomes like a Saturday morning cartoon in the future, which is going to happen, you're going to be the voice of that guy.
I would love to be...
You'll be a character, for sure.
A character would be great. Or a sidekick, if Liquid Death does have some type of sidekick character. I'm just calling him LD. Or no, I mean, the main character is just...
I think you would be scary dressed up in that outfit.
I think it'd be terrifying. Not only to other people, to myself, but yeah.
Yeah, I love there's a mascot. I love that there's merch. I love it's just so... Like you said, it's like a band.
Yeah, and there was somewhere I was going with the mascot, not only wanting to be the voice, but
Liquid Death Band.
I can't remember, but I loved the character. He's just so ultra violent in a way, but just about drinking water.
Yeah, because it's like, it's like when you're murdering thirst, an imaginary thing, you can kind of get away with a lot.
It's a tough job with all these dehydrated people out there.
Murdering your thirst is so clever, man. That's like, it's incredible, man. Like, it's perfect.
Yeah, and then Death to Plastic was kind of like
so
the plastic.
Good,
like we had to figure out how do you cover both angles because the sustainability is a good part of it.
Absolutely.
So,
and you can get it at 7-Eleven too, right?
Yeah, 7-Eleven
That's
nationally,
sick,
any
that's
of them.
So
yeah.
sick. That's a big one.
Big moves.
Yeah.
Big moves.
And then if you live in Texas, you can get it in Walmart anywhere in Texas.
Hey y'all.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Texas, Whole Foods, 7-Eleven, Target.
Target will be coming up later this year. It'll be a little while though before they do it.
And there's no more Kmart. That's gone.
Is it?
Kmart's gone, man.
Oh yeah, they are gone.
They canceled it?
No, it turned into a Britney Spears store over here.
Really?
That's right.
But then the pandemic came and never got to open.
Yeah, that didn't even happen. So
please go liquiddeath.com, Liquid Death Instagram. That's where they can find everybody, right?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Well, awesome, Mike. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate being on the podcast. This is the first time having like any type of brand on the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a water brand, and it's perfect. So, all right, thank you for being here. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Later.
Hey, guys. Thanks for listening. Please rate, review, subscribe. If you haven't subscribed yet to this podcast, please do that. And whatever platform you are listening to this on, I'm glad you found me. You can rate me and review me on there also. So thank you guys sincerely for the support. I cannot wait for you guys to hear the next one.